Oh, wait, let's talk about aliens, actually. Eugene is a huge fan of aliens.
I am also.
Aliens.
Have you discovered anything? Like,
apparently, we're close to making first contact in the next 2 years.
You see, I love it. Now we're at the party. He's just said that.
More.
Yeah. So there's a guy.
First, have your drink and say it. I think it sets the scene.
We're at a party.
Hey,
So aliens.
So there's an extraterrestrial being that comes to a guy called Daryl Anchor. Don't you just hate it when your pessimistic friend is a DJ?
This is What Now with Trevor Noah. You take your time. You take your time. You just go ahead and take your time. Every moment, every second you need. You just take it. Do they have that on YouTube? I know they have subtitles and dubbing, but can you dub to other accents? That would be dope.
That would be nice.
We should just have the whole episode in a southern accent.
I think you should do that for this episode.
We really should.
I think you should ADR it after.
Just do the whole thing.
What's ADR?
I think it's the word
techno challenged.
I actually don't know what I did what I always hate, which is using an acronym when I don't know what it stands for. I think what ADR means is when they go back in a movie and make the same sounds again when they didn't catch it.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't know, you've acted in movies.
No, that is ADR.
Is that right?
Additional dialogue recording.
Ha! Additional dialogue recording. But they should have a name for it when it's over the other one, because not additional. This is the same dialogue recording.
Just do it again.
It should,
In a southern accent.
It should be called DDR, duplicate dialogue recording.
And you can upload your own audio files on YouTube.
What do you mean?
So you could post the video.
Yeah.
And then you post another audio file. And I think you'd have to choose a language. I don't think like Southern American.
We should start doing that. Yeah. We'll make every episode in another accent as well. Because people think of everyone who speaks other languages. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But what about other accent speakers? What about them?
Yeah, no one cares about
We
them.
could be doing this whole episode in an English accent. Eugene, I say Eugene.
I couldn't, but you could.
Yo, but the universal African accent must never see the light of day ever again.
I'm definitely not.
Because whoever came up with that universe, because even in Africa,
you with your accent, are you talking about?
You see,
I can't even do it. It's hard.
Yeah, that accent.
It's in every movie where there's Africans, but they're not African. Africans hear it, but where it's a very specific kind of accent. I don't even know how to do it because it's nowhere.
You shouldn't know.
It's nowhere.
Because if you did know,
then you come to Hollywood.
No, but do you we were talking about this just before we started recording, and I wonder if you have to think about this. As your platform's grown, as you've gotten bigger, do you have to think about balancing out what you'll do for a view and then what the views will do for the people who are viewing the thing?
Tell me more about what you mean by that.
So what we were chatting about earlier is, let's say I'm interviewing somebody on this show, right? We're hanging out here. It's me, Eugene, the person, whoever it is. Let's say they're a politician. And then you go, for instance, we had Zoran on the show. And then someone's like, oh, it would be cool if you did a thing on Trump and whatever. And then I go, it could be cool and it could be crazy and you could do whatever you want, right? So I could go off and do let's say I do a mini roast of Trump or whatever. Here I am with Zoran. Yeah. So he's like, Zoran Mamdani, the mayor of New York. And then you're like, oh, let's play out what happens. Zoran's like, welcome, Zoran. Nice to see you in my office. Mama Danny. Nice to see you. Mama Danny. Now, if he joins in and Trump sees that and Trump gets pissed off and then goes, oh, I'm going to cut funding for New York. Was it worth it?
No.
That's my point.
Yeah.
So now, but I wouldn't have to think that if we only had 50 viewers. Then you just do whatever you want.
Yeah, but you wouldn't feel good about it even if you had 50.
Oh, I would definitely feel good about it. How can you not feel good about an act out?
Well, I'll just say about my show, I've constructed the whole thing so that it prevents that question. Because the premise of the show is I'm going to genuinely explain something to you that's complicated, that I want you to understand. I'm going to do it in a way that is, in the end, optimistic. You're going to have a specific feeling about there are smart people working on a hard problem, and I can see how we could make this better. And then it's going to be visual and beautiful and joyful all at the same time. And if it does those three things,
Visual, beautiful, and joyful.
It's
That's how I think
the
of
three
Eugene.
things.
Whenever I look at you,
lovely.
Eugene, that's what I think of. I think you are visual. I think you are joyful, and I think you are
That's
beautiful.
really beautiful.
It's not often.
Your hands are warm and mine are
Thank
cold.
you.
That was nice.
Okay, let's go.
The three things are genuinely good explainer, genuinely optimistic, and visually stunning, a visual piece.
Huh.
And so if it's those three things, then it gets to be on huge. And if it's not one of those things, then it shouldn't be there. And so that prevents
So that's
a
your
lot
guiding-
of the... Yeah.
Oh,
Those are the
okay.
criteria.
It's a North Star.
Yeah. And if it's not one of those things, then the pressure is on me and on my team and on, I mean, frankly, the audience now knows like what feels like huge and what doesn't. And it's a pressure that counterweights a lot of the other pressures on journalists and on
Okay. Got
to
it.
be
Got it.
clickbaity, to be
Right.
pessimistic, to be
Unscrupulous, insensitive.
yeah.
All of those things. Ne?
Yeah, it's a counterweight. And I'm not saying like it's perfect every time. We also think a lot about how do I do those three things in a way that millions of people want to watch. So there's absolutely like a storytelling element to it. But it strips away a lot of the things that I didn't like as a journalist, that I don't want to watch, that aren't in the end helpful for me to actually understand something, make me feel optimistic about the future that I can participate in building. And that use the fact that it's a video, right? Like watching a video requires a lot of your time and attention. It requires your eyes as in addition to your ears. And so I think a lot about how do I earn that from my audience. So anyway, if I'm doing those three things, then it should be on the show. And in those moments where like you can feel the pressure to do something else because you think it'll spike in viewership.
I mean, everyone talks about that. Everyone who's been involved in YouTube, because I think there's a specific there's a delineation between the types of content you make when you're making it for like what we call like mainstream media. Let's say your bosses have already confirmed it. It goes out. It's commissioned. It gets put on TV or in the movies, and then it's done. YouTube, you are the boss. You're making the decisions. You're putting it out there. You're doing your thing. So, in essence, the only driving force behind whether it does or doesn't go out is you.
Yeah.
All right. But that means that people, I remember talking to Jake Paul or Logan Paul. I always forget which brother. I think it was Jake. But it was, and was interviewing him and we were talking about his life and his show. And then he talked about how the click cycle got him. He did one thing, he fell somewhere, he broke something, and then people were like, more of that. And they didn't say it verbally, but people loved it.
Yeah.
And then him and his team were like, you got to do it again. And then you're jumping off the top of your stairs, the banister in your house, and people are like, more.
You're going higher and higher.
And the next thing you know, you're in like, a forest, a suicide forest in Japan. And you are looking at yourself going, how did I get here?
But stand-up has a lot of those elements, right?
Oh, yeah,
So
definitely.
Stand-up, when we first started, was just us trying to see how far we can push the envelope.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And then you get one TV gig, and now you have to be careful. You get one endorsement, now they're like, also, are you going to say that for real?
Yeah, but it's almost the other way around, funny enough, with stand-up, now that you mention it. It's almost like stand-up, they almost calm you down in a way. Because as stand-ups, what we're trying, you see like your rules. I don't know about all stand-ups, but like I can say for myself, and this gentleman seated across from me, this fine squire right here across from me, I would say it's like, if we think of our rules, you go, do we find it interesting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we think it's funny?
Yes.
Then that's it. It's as simple as, it doesn't matter where it goes and how it goes. You're trying to break everything.
There are things that you know the audience might like that you don't think are funny. That you think are just not, they don't make you feel good.
Yes.
That helps a lot. That feeling, like for me, it's these three criteria I've come up with. And it helps to have I think what I'm really coming to in this is it really helps to have a mission. It
I like that.
really,
Okay.
really helps. These criteria are part of the overall mission of the show, which is, in my case, and everyone chooses their own, my mission is I make this show so I can show people with those three criteria, explain to them things in an optimistic way, in a visually beautiful way. I make this show so I can show people visions of the future because I believe that if they see those visions in an optimistic way, they can help build them. So my goal, I'm not an engineer, I'm not a scientist. My goal is to present who's working on hard things and how are they doing it and what could it potentially do and how could it go wrong and how could it go right, and make a optimistic explainer video that helps people see, if you're watching it in the audience, and maybe you are someone who could help, and I believe that everybody can in their own way, you can help participate in making that better somehow.
I look at people like you with a mission and I go, why do you care?
Well, now we could get into all kinds of, the way that I grew up and why I want to do this work.
Then let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm happy to. Let's do it.
I like how you said it like we don't have an option. You're like, no, well, then I got to get into it. Like, you've come to the right place. Why did you get it? Because I remember I'll give you a bit of context. When I first came across your work, I had just started on The Daily Show. So I joined The Daily Show in 2015, right, when Jon Stewart was still around. And so I was just a correspondent. John would phone me, be like, come and do this funny thing. I would be like, yeah. And then we'd leave. And then, you know what I mean? Back and forth, back and forth. John announces he's leaving. They find a new host. The host happens to be me. I've shrunk the process down. But before I was going to host the show, I went through this, 6-7 month period of just, gorging on every piece of content that I could. Because I just had to learn about this new country and this new place, but from the inside. So what's the news? Where's the news coming from? And then America's unique, and I guess now it's not as unique as it was at that time, in that the news doesn't just come from one place.
Yeah.
So we grew up where it was like, did you watch the news?
Yeah.
Yes, I watched the news. And then now here it's like, which news?
Whose news?
Whose news?
Yeah.
Who said it's the news?
Yeah.
So now I'm watching all news, collecting all news. And I remember coming across your work, and at the time it was on Vox, right? Yeah. And Vox was this new platform that had come out, and they were explaining stuff, and they made the news digestible. And let me tell you, if there's somebody who needed stuff explained, this guy right here. Because I was like, what is a filibuster? Wait, what is happening? Who's passing the laws? Who gerrymandering? Who's Jerry? Why is he mandering? Yeah. What is going on here? Right, I was like, what is happening in this country? And the funny thing is, Americans will make it seem like they know what's happening.
Yeah, they make it look like everything is normal.
Yeah, and then when you find out about it and then you ask most Americans, they'll be like, I actually don't. I actually don't. And not in like a shit way. It's just there's so many intricate little details to the system. And that's when I came across your work. You're making these videos, and it was doing pretty well. And then you just left. And you left when things were going well at Vox, and you were just gone.
Which is the best time to leave anything.
I mean, that's the craziest.
There you have to. You really have to wait for a workman's comp.
Leave your marriage.
Eugene's
advice: leave your marriage on a high. Make sure to leave your marriage on a high, honey. Can I just say, I am having the best time ever. I love you so much. I love you so much. I'm leaving. What? Yeah, I mean, I just figured. Eugene's advice. So take us through.
It wasn't like that.
No, so let's go back. Let's try and understand.
Yeah.
I think, as Eugene eloquently pointed out, how do we get to the core of this person who wants to make things that are optimistic and informative and visually beautiful in a world where you get more reward for making things that are negative and rage baity, and because you could have a big show on YouTube doing that. You could go, let me show you why the Hadron Collider is going to kill all of us. Let me show you why dinosaurs are going to come back and kill all of us. Let me show you why asteroids are going to kill all of you. You could make that, and I think it would maybe do slightly better than what you currently have.
In the very short term, maybe.
Oh, I like this. So let's go down a rabbit hole.
You're good.
How do we meet you at this point? What happened in your life that made you this person?
So if we rewind all the way back, I was a kid I grew up in Washington, D.C., and my parents were both lawyers. And my mom was working for Congress, and my dad was a litigator, and he did a lot of death penalty cases. And we would talk about these things. We would talk about my homework, and we would talk about their work at the dinner table. And both of my parents were the kind of people where if I gave them something that I'd written, they would like cross out the lines really brutally and say, like, there's a simpler way to say this. Like, you can always say it in a simpler way that people can better understand.
Wow.
And my dad, in these cases that he would work on, I really saw as a young kid how if you can explain something complicated in a way that 12 normal people can understand, you can actually save someone's life. Like, in a real way. Like, that's what he was demonstrating when I was a kid. And I guess that lesson stuck with me. It's hard. Sometimes it's easier now to draw lines from, what you did. Now I see how that's connected. At the time, it was just a thing that I knew. And I grew up and I go to college and I graduate and I begin working at Vox, VOX. And Vox at the time was doing explainer journalism, which I loved. And I'll shorten the story somewhat. But
No. There's no rush. There's no rush
Great.
here.
Please.
We were fully in.
Great.
You only need to start. Eugene does the yawn, then we.
I'll look for it.
It's a
about
very
4
special.
hours in.
It's a very special type of yawn that Eugene has. It's fake, but it works well on people. I'll show you an example now. I'm going to tell you about my
what's the
morning,
cue?
and then I'll show you.
Speed it up.
I'll show you how Eugene just gently lets you know that it's time to move on. So this morning, guys, I wanted to have oats, and you know how sometimes your oats are. Sometimes your oats are like.
I don't need you in my life.
No, please go on.
So we can come back to my journey inside Vox because I started on the business side and then I began
We're
working
here
as
for
a
it all.
journalist. I'll promise. But fast forward to I'd been working as a journalist for a couple of years. And I'd been covering technology. I'd been making things for Explained on Netflix, which is a wonderful show that Vox made, very intricate, deep dives into different things that matter in the world. I had made one on computer programming and one on diamonds explained, which are really fun to work on.
I've seen that one.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Where it talks about artificial diamonds
Yes.
versus
Yeah, we went through
real
the whole
diamond, the
science
sentiment,
of
the
the
beers.
geology, and then the history of why
Controlling
we
the
buy
market.
diamonds. Yes, and then we ended on artificial diamonds. It was so fun to make. I love doing that.
I love that. It was so good.
Thank you.
It made me feel smart because I was like, oh, there is a... okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've been working on Vox in that way, but I also was a person who loves learning about technology, and I was looking at my media diet, and I was really unhappy with it. I was really frustrated. And I think to boil down the reason that I was frustrated was I felt like there was this knee-jerk pessimism in the news that I was consuming that was preventing me from understanding what was really happening in the world and also understanding how I could participate in making the world a better place.
Right.
And in doing some research, I happened upon an article. I was looking through the New York Times archive for reporting reasons, and I found an article from 1903, October 9, 1903, and it was called "Flying Machines Which Do Not Fly." This is you can go into the New York Times archive and find this article. It talks about how we will basically never have planes. It talks about how
When is this?
This is 1903.
We will never have.
We will never have planes. They basically say it boils down to if it took birds thousands of years to develop evolutionarily the ability to fly, it'll take humans millions of years. And it ends. My favorite line in this piece, I still remember it, is something like,
Good luck.
It basically is like the effort might be employed more profitably or something. It was 1903 they were writing.
That's beautiful.
And so basically they were saying do other things. This will never work.
Effort might be employed profitably
More
elsewhere.
profitably elsewhere.
Yeah.
October 9, 1903. December 17, 1903. 2 months later was when the Wright brothers took their first assisted flight. Yeah. 2 months later. And I looked at that and I put the timeline together and I was like, what? That matters to me somehow. Something is wrong here. And we've been doing this, and it felt similar to what we were doing today. It wasn't just a thing they did in 1903. This was a knee-jerk pessimism about new technologies or dreams or scientific efforts. Oh, that won't work. Or once it starts to work, people won't want it. Or this will go really, really wrong. And there's no way it'll help people. This is only going to hurt people. And I looked at that and I thought, first, this isn't a modern thing. I feel like it's been getting worse for reasons we can talk about. But this has been happening. Look at this article from 1903. But then also, why does that matter? Why care? Maybe the media is generally a little bit pessimistic. Maybe there's also this hype cycle that happens sometimes, and that's also a problem. And so altogether, why is this really a problem? Why should I start some new show that's going to offer something different? And I think there are two problems with that pessimism. The first is that it stops the conversation from getting interesting. If I tell you airplanes, they just won't work, we'll have a 5-minute conversation about why airplanes won't work.
Yeah.
But you'll never get to the conversation about like, wait, if they work, that means that people are going to start living in different places than their families. That means that people are going to start traveling to other countries. That means that global trade is going to fundamentally change a lot in the next 100 years. Like if you told my grandfather what that was going to look like, and just that, I mean, he was alive when planes existed, but like just the absolute skyrocketing of the commercial airline industry, that would have been a fascinating conversation. If you'd said like, let's just assume that it works for the purpose of this conversation. That's basically what I try and do on my show. And let's assume all the ways in which it could go, awry. Like, okay, now we can have a conversation about CO2 emissions. Now we can have a conversation about like the impacts of tourism.
Yeah.
But you only get to those conversations about real problems when you assume that it's gonna work. And you don't have that pessimism. So that's the first reason. And then the second reason, the thing that was really frustrating me was there's this kind of, maybe it's a nihilism that takes hold when people don't believe that the world can get better and that they can help make that happen. It's like if the world is just getting worse and I can't do anything about it, and I'm not seeing stories about people that are helping make it better, and I'm not imagining technologies like quantum computers, for example, I'm only imagining the ways in which they're going to be a security problem and not the ways in which they're going to help develop new medicines and new materials.
Yeah.
Then why should I try? Why shouldn't I just be very self-interested and
pessimism coupled with helplessness always goes well together.
That's a much more succinct way to put it. Yeah,
like
exactly.
Your dad said.
Yeah.
You just scratched out the thing and you just like, bam! Pessimism combined with helplessness
is bad.
Go do your homework.
We're trying to do the opposite.
I often find that a healthy amount of pessimism is a good catalyst for people to act. So you've often heard people who are very successful talking about the teacher that told them they'll never amount to anything.
Yeah.
Then we have that conversation in hindsight of them being successful and the teacher seemingly being pessimistic and negative.
Yeah, they were reacting to it.
Exactly.
But they had to have the optimism, right? Like they had to like push off against it somehow.
They never speak about the optimism that they had to have to push against the pessimism.
Yeah.
That's true. But I sometimes think to myself, in that same situation to what you're saying, I think a more positive catalyst is one that sort of prompts your optimism as opposed to, because I think of how many people are defeated by that statement. You'll never amount to anything. You'll never be anything. You'll never go anywhere. I think it works on a lot of people. Because if your teacher's telling you that, who knows you better?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If someone's like, hey, I've been looking at your body of work from the age of 8 to 11. Yo, man, this shit's not going to work out for you in life.
But teachers never say that.
No, they say...
Remember that teacher is per grade. Because people always remember one snippet of their school career where one teacher said that. And it's very rare that you go with a teacher from grade 0.
No, we went with like in primary school. So
the same teacher said this to you for 12 years.
You met them literally.
What evil teacher did you have?
No, but this is what I'm trying to say to you. We all knew that. And there was always like that teacher. Everyone knew them as that teacher.
Yes.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Wherever they catch you, they'll tell you.
Yes.
The number of people who must have been inspired also by a teacher who said, by the way, have you ever considered that you could do this?
Exactly.
Like, I've actually heard more stories like that in the end of teachers. When I think about my life, I think about the teachers who said like, oh, you're very interested in this. Have you read this book? Have you like done that? They're sort of fueling you in this way. And I sometimes think of the show that we now make. The show is called Huge If True, that I left Vox to make this show independently on YouTube.
Okay.
And I think about it like that. I think about it like offering a menu of stories and options and futures that could come true to people that might be able to help make them happen, or to an audience that just wants to understand what they could potentially do with their lives and with their time or with their free time.
You take for granted how powerful that is because I don't know if you've seen any of the polls that people have conducted around AI, right? When they ask the general public, what do you think of AI? And not like how it's being applied now, just AI as a concept. Yeah. The sentiment is generally negative. Like you go, would you trust machines? Would you trust an all-powerful AI? Do you think it would be good for humanity? Without fail, a majority of the population says, no, it won't be good for us. It's going to kill us. It's going to take over. It's going to, do you know what I mean? It's also interesting that most of those people have had their views shaped by the images of AI that they had growing up. So they watched Terminator, they were watching Star Wars, so they go like, oh no, there's only one path that technology can take.
It only goes this way.
Yeah, it can only go this way and it can kill you. An interesting poll that I saw the other day, and I was shocked by this, is people in Africa generally have a more positive attitude towards artificial general intelligence than people in the Western world.
Yeah, because people in Africa had to deal with racism for a long time.
You see you, my man.
And that was man-made intelligence.
You see you, my man.
Try artificial.
Aha. Aha. Ngena lapho.
But I think
Eugene is the other half of my brain. You know when people are like your left brain, right brain, I'm like, Eugene. But it's true. No,
Yes.
but it's exactly what you're saying,
Yes.
right? It's interesting how people who have assumed that the intelligence will be built around them and their histories and their pasts now think that that same technology will go on to do to them what they did to others.
Yeah.
But then the people who were only on like the receiving end in recent history of a thing go like, oh yeah,
any change is good change.
They could be like, maybe this will work.
Yeah, because it also puts us in an equal footing. I look at wars the same.
I didn't think about that.
Yeah, because you don't know, I don't know. Let's see what this thing can do for us.
AI would be the white people of everyone.
Yes.
Yeah,
oh, hey.
Hey, bana.
Because that.
Hey.
You want?
I do. You noticed I was feeling a little.
She wants a dip. Cleo, you have to take us seriously. Please continue with your point.
I am.
Actually, that is a question that I have, and maybe it's because I'm comedy biased. It's just because of my brain. It's not like how I don't choose to have this filter on the world. But you also have humor in your content. You also
Do I? I don't think. I mean, I'm not funny like you guys are.
No. But I promise you, there's humor in it.
Yeah.
Like when I was watching your asteroid video. It's funny. Like the fact that you have Mark Rober voicing an asteroid, that's a funny thing to do. To be talking about the potential destruction of Earth and then use a funny person's voice on the video, that's funny. You know, when you're talking about like when you're doing the dinosaurs one and you're going around with the archaeologists and you're brushing, there were funny moments in that. And that's...
Oh, you've really watched the show. This is awesome.
Wow. Why would I invite you here if I hadn't watched the show? That would be a weird thing to do. Just be like, come and...
No, but you've like seen it. You remember. This is great. Yeah.
Yeah, but
no, you're right.
You know why?
It is
Because you
fun.
teach well, genuinely. Because you teach well. It's easy to consume. It's easy to digest, and it's engaging. But I remember the funny moments, even with like the Hadron Collider.
All your key pillars have been ticked off.
Or when you like when you were showing the quantum computer, I was just like the size of it, the scale. But the jokes in between are something that I found myself fascinated by. I was like, why bring humor into something that most people go, this is the future of mankind. There's no time for jokes, but you're bringing jokes in.
I think it's also that I'm the proxy for the audience. Like I know very little. I know how to tell a great story. I'm a really, really good visual storyteller, but I am not an expert in anything that I'm talking about. And so that requires me to come in by understanding like I'm the secondary character. The topic is the primary character.
Oh, damn.
My goal, like, why learn from me about quantum computers? You learn from a quantum physicist on YouTube. Like, why am I there? The reason I'm there is so that I'm a proxy for the audience. I'm like having fun with it, like you might have. I'm asking the questions that you might ask. I'm there to recontextualize what the expert is saying to kind of like translate for them a little bit. Like, that's the magic of what we do. Because the problem with that first bucket that we talked about, the feeling of like, oh, pessimism ends the conversation, explainers that are too complicated, like they're just not, they don't bring people in. The problem with that is you end up in a place where I think, unfortunately, despite the fact that Huge is growing really quickly, like we're small compared to mainstream media, the place that we're in is one where like most people hear about the future when it has largely been set up by a smaller number of people. And my belief is that if you bring people more into the earlier parts of the conversation, if you say like,
definitely.
we're going to need to learn about quantum computers now, though you're, not actually interacting with them anytime soon, more people at the beginning of that process is a good thing.
Yeah.
More people, to your point about AI, more people are helping to build that system if you show them what it is at the beginning versus saying, oh, it won't work. Oh, don't worry about it. Oh, this is not something that's going to be accepted, not something that people are going to want. It's not going to be maybe it'll change the world, but just you should be scared of it. That posture means that you are less likely to participate in helping it go right. And so that's something I think a lot about. Like, how can I make it fun enough and good enough and entertaining enough so that you want to be a part of it earlier in the process. So like now, when you go about your day, you understand something about what we've discovered about dinosaurs. You understand something about CRISPR or quantum computers or supersonic planes. Like, maybe you won't work on those things tomorrow, but maybe there's some way in which that is part of your life and you at least know about these topics and you're having conversations that are interesting and you're more a part of it than you would be otherwise. I believe that having more people understand complicated issues means that more people will participate in making sure that they go right. That's what I'm trying to do on my show.
I like that you say that. I was in Washington State, and I was at an event where we're working with Microsoft on basically like getting AI into schools, like having kids learn, teachers learn, whatever. And they set up this program where the teachers are advising on it. So they're going, this is what we actually need AI to do. So don't just give us AI. This is what we need you to help AI or make AI do for teachers. You know, so it's lesson plans, it's helping them mark and grade and all these things.
Perfect teacher's aid.
Exactly. It's supposed to be that.
Not a teacher.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then and then parents were also like, this is what we need AI to do. And we're at this launch event, and I'll never forget this moment. One of the student journalists comes up, and at the end of like all the other like journalists, they've all asked their questions. And then this student journalist comes up and then asks the president of Microsoft, Brad Smith, goes, hey, I see that you've got this panel convened that's going to be doing all of this in the schools. Do you have any students on your panel?
That's an amazing question.
And all of us in the room were, you know, you're like, huh? All of us. And then Brad, to his credit, was like, no, I didn't think about that. And why don't we? And then literally on the spot was like, oh yeah, we got to do this. But to your point,
that's awesome.
Even in that moment, I found myself going, oh yeah, you take for granted how we are constantly building futures, but not engaging all the people that the futures are being built for. And then when we get there, we're going to be like, how did we miss this? And it's like, yeah, but did you just ask everyone? Did you ask everyone what they, like, Eugene, what do you need from AI? What do you want AI to do for you? Do you know what AI is? Let me start with this. Because Eugene is very...
what AI is, first of all.
Eugene is my Luddite. Eugene is fully my Luddite friend.
I always compare everything new with how things were before there was technology. So I hear what you're saying and I hear what he's saying and I combine it to... Before there was technology to disperse information and get people into doing something for the collective good without sometimes general understanding of it is wars. So a few men would decide this is the greater cause for what we're doing this.
Damn.
And then there'll be conscription. So you don't have to understand fully why we're doing this thing. So we're going to make you do it. So while you're at this thing, you might discover some people might make it, some people might not, but you look at the ones that came back from wars and how many industries were built. It's always been an accelerant for technology, for ideas, for industries, for businesses, customizing cars, building technology, weapons, private jets. It's always because of something huge, catastrophic that happened that included conscription. And I guess once you add a little bit of pessimism in there, you can find a lot of ideas when people push back. Because people just usually go with something. So what I like with explainers is it always starts with, have you ever wondered why? But then you have to stick around to the end to go, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. So that usually in now normal society, it's elections. You have to wait to choose, to almost feel like you have a choice because you've seen what happened in the last 4 years.
Did you see, sorry to interrupt, did you see that thing in, I forget where this is in Canada. I think they had an election or they're planning to have one where everyone can just vote on their phones from home.
See?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like full on.
We did an explainer about digital voting, mobile voting.
Like full on.
Turns out it's extremely difficult from an encryption perspective.
Wait, say more, why?
So this was a little while ago, so I don't want to butcher this too much. But the question I went into the story with is, why don't we all just vote on our phones?
I love this
question. Wouldn't it be great?
It would be great.
And wouldn't it make for a more participatory democracy?
Sounds good to me.
But I generally believe more people voting is good.
Yes.
Let's make it easier to vote.
Love this. Idea. I'm in.
And so I went and I talked.
I'm not a fan of total outright democracy.
Maybe we should start there. Well, it would still be a representative democracy. You would vote for the representatives.
I'm like, some people don't deserve a voice.
Let's unpack that later. We should come back to that.
Oh, man.
As you were. Anyway.
For the purpose of this conversation,
sharp.
So I went and I asked all of these encryption experts. And so we talked to folks that were working on mobile voting. We also talked to people that deeply oppose mobile voting. We should not do that. That's a really bad idea. And I wanted to understand why. What it boils down to is that voting is not like online banking. It is not like the secure things that you do online.
Okay. And why is that?
Couple reasons. The first is that everything you do online accepts some level of fraud. Because the banks are basically backstopping a certain amount of fraud to make it easy for you to log in and do transactions and all those things. They accept that there will be some level of
acceptable risk.
And that level has to be below the friction that they would have to put on you to make it less risky.
Okay.
So they just have to mean like more activity that makes them more money versus the amount of fraud that they have to pay for.
Okay, so if I was to like dumb this down for myself, it's the equivalent of like a clothing store going, we'll only put a certain amount of detectors on the clothing to make it safe to
because
deter
you'll
people.
buy more.
Yeah, but we can't cover the thing in detectors because then you won't want to try it on. You won't see the thing. So we have to accept a certain amount of risk to have you comfortable in the buying
and what
experience.
items in the store are we putting detectors on?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Banks
got it,
do
got
this
it.
all the time.
Okay, got it.
We can't accept that in voting because the small amount of risk especially in the way that we vote in the United States with such small pockets where it matters a lot. You can't accept any amount of risk that way. And also philosophically, we don't believe that you should. The idea, if you try to explain to people that like we're going to accept some voter fraud because more people can vote.
I mean,
like,
America's elections are basically like 50-50 at this point. So if
You
you
could
have like
argue
a
that-
3-4%, that's not good. Right. Oh, damn.
So you can't accept.
You're good.
She's
can't
fantastic.
accept that.
I'm in. This is fantastic.
It would help more if we had the visuals. We could have a map. We could have like a
We have
banking
your hands.
system. Yeah. I guess I do speak English the way that you were.
That was good.
So that's reason number one.
Yeah.
Reason number two is that it's just like nothing else on Earth when you have global powers that want to affect each other's outcomes. Like we are not talking about stealing $1 million, $100 million. We're talking about China and Russia and the United States trying to impact each other's elections. This is stakes like nothing else that exists at all. And so when you talk about that, like the way that these encryption experts talk about mobile voting, it's like the things that it would have to withstand are like nothing you've ever experienced online. Like there's nothing in the world that matters as much as the outcome of the elections of the most powerful countries in
It
the
makes
world.
absolute sense because if you think of online versus physical voting, you are more susceptible to whims if you vote online than you would if you
Maybe
were
that
voting
too.
physically.
Maybe there's
what does
a
that
change in the
mean?
way that there's
Because you might be sitting on your couch feeling a certain way.
And
Then
then
that might determine how you vote. But if you have to get up, take a day off, go queue.
I think that would
now
be
I'm
an
gonna
argument.
vote. Now I'm going to vote worse.
Yeah, that would be an
You
argument.
just don't
I
want me
know,
to stay at
there's-
home. Why are you doing this to me?
Also,
Why are you doing this to me? Now when I get up, now when I go, I might change my vote on the way there where I'm like, this
Well,
is a
another
terrible
thing
day.
about the
really?
Terrible day.
Not after you've... My man, have you seen the conversation that happens at queues when you're about to vote?
That's another reason I don't want that. Because now people are talking to each other about voting.
Yes. Who should they talk to?
Nobody. Your
See,
vote,
this is it.
your
See,
vote
now we're
is
having
your
a good
secret.
debate because we're assuming it could work. We're talking about
I think anything that you're struggling for will make it worth it. So if you're standing in a queue in the snow and you're about to make a decision around other people who took the same decision as you to get out the...
There is actually, hold on, there is research. There's research on the fact that it's like a community builder. But that's a separate argument. That's a separate argument. That I generally
You
believe,
make up
like,
your mind. Whose side are you on?
Hold on, if
She's
you
not
could,
on anybody's side. That's what makes her good. She's encouraging discourse, Eugene. Boo.
Okay, one more interesting thing about voting is also the ways that you would have these countries hack voting.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what I was talking about. I was thinking like in like a cyberpunk movie where you like see, you know, then there would be a glitch and someone in the US would notice the glitch and like there would be a hack, right?
Right.
A lot of these encryption experts were like, listen, the way that they would do this is like, we already know that in districts, if it rains, it marginally affects voting.
Yeah.
But the outcome of older people, and those people are more likely to vote this way. And then all of a sudden, because it rained, that one district that affects this one state, that affects the electoral college, that affects this, all of a sudden. And so what they would do, this gave me the heebie-jeebies when they said it. He was like, you could imagine a foreign power just digitally making it rain in just the right places, and we would never notice.
Cloud seeding?
And I was like, making it like
digital cloud seeding.
Like digitally making it rain. Like I'm making it the lag time on the screen. They could make it a little bit longer, and that would mean that fewer people would vote, and you'd never notice. Or the login, maybe they would make it mess up a couple times, and that would affect like older people in particular. Or like it just a little things on the edges, and then you'd have an outcome that you didn't expect.
The politics would have very little to do with
that. That's literally how I keep Eugene out of my house when I don't want him to visit me. I'll make the lock a little tighter. I'll jam the door a little bit more.
And he hasn't
and
noticed.
And then some days he just doesn't. Yeah. I'll be like, yeah, come over anytime.
I was there.
And then he'll be there.
Didn't come in.
but you know what?
It makes so much sense.
So
that is crazy to think about it like that. Is like.
So you go down, the way that we did this episode was you go down this rabbit hole and you're like, okay, these are all brilliant people that I'm talking to that have thought about this their whole lives. These are all the reasons why you wouldn't want it. I'm like, okay, but you could, right? Like this isn't, I've talked to people who are building rockets. Like this isn't rocket science. Like you could do this, right? Like there has to be some. And so I'm pushing like optimistically, like this could work, right? And so then you get into the area of science that's a little bit more boring, and I won't tell you all about it. But like, how would they do it? What are the encryption strategies? There are people that are working on this that could do it in a way that where you would notice the digital rain. There's real effort here, and there are experiments, as you said. There are countries that are experimenting with it. There are places where they're trying to make this easier. And I think, the episode ends with, like, it's worth the effort to try. Like, here are all of the reasons why it's way harder than you think. Yeah. And it's not just like, oh, I bank online, I should vote online. But we believe that more people voting is a good thing. You could be part of a future that allows that to happen. Like, here are all the smart people working on this hard problem. And so you don't end the story with, oh, it's way harder than you think. You end the story with, oh, here are all the smart solutions. It's ongoing. If you want to participate, you absolutely should.
Don't go anywhere, because we got more What Now after this. This episode is brought to you by our friends at SurveyMonkey. You know, Eugene, I don't know if you've ever thought of starting a business, but every time I think about people who start businesses, I'm like, man, you need a specific kind of bravery. And by bravery, I mean terrifying uncertainty. Because think about it. Right now, everywhere in the world, there are people making massive life-altering decisions based entirely on a vibe, just a feeling in their gut.
That was me when joining the podcast.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But what if you actually knew the truth when you started a business? What if you knew your direct reports weren't just nodding along, but actually had thoughts that they were too polite to tell you? Or what if you knew that your best customers were already halfway out the door to a competitor? Because let's face it, we like to say follow your heart, but in business, ignorance is a very expensive hobby. The good news, Eugene, is that SurveyMonkey takes the fear out of asking and the doubt out of deciding. It's the difference between walking into a meeting with a hunch and walking in with 500 validated opinions, which mathematically is better for your blood pressure. The truth might hurt for a second, but it's cheaper than being wrong. So let's get you a survey and some actual answers. Sign up for an annual plan at surveymonkey.com/whatnow and use the code WhatNow for 2 months free. That's 2 months free with code WhatNow at surveymonkey.com/whatnow. You have any questions?
Is it too late for me to run a survey about who doesn't like you in the podcast?
What do you mean, who doesn't like you? Like me?
Like you, yes. Specifically, the person in front of me.
I think surveys are supposed to be anonymous so that people's feelings don't get hurt.
But I did type anonymous there.
Well, now I'll know that you typed it because... Do you have a problem with the working conditions?
I haven't sent it.
But you want to make a survey about...
I haven't sent it yet.
You can just use the code WhatNow to get 2 months free when you do it.
Still have 2 months to complain about you.
I feel like this got personal. You know what I just realized? You must be both the most fun and irritating person at a party.
That's why she comes in early and leaves early.
Leaves early.
That's exactly what.
No, you know why? Because this is what I was thinking.
Go to a party.
People love speaking to other people who know things. Mm-hmm. They love it until those people actually know things. That's what I've learned.
No, but I don't know anything.
No, but you do.
know
You
a
see,
lot.
you do. Because let's say we were at a party now. We're all standing around with our drinks, right? And we're all having this conversation. We're all, yeah. So how do you know, Eugene? Ha, 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 yeah. And then I'm like, the election, I think they should vote. You saw in Canada they're gonna do the digital voting. Then you go like, oh yeah, actually they did a thing on the. Then we're like, no, but the thing, and then you encryption, facts, data, experts spoken to, etc. And then someone would be like, I'm gonna go get
for this next.
Out of context matters.
I'm gonna go get another
In
drink.
a party, I promise I know ish.
No, I wouldn't.
Talking.
If I were you, I'd keep doing it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because we live in a world where, let's be honest, we live in a world where what you said earlier really struck me. You said, I'm not an expert. I don't know anything. And I go, that's a strange level of humility for you to approach this sphere with, because you do know things
We're relying
because
on
you've
you.
learned on it from the experts.
Yeah.
And I always go like, knowledge is from someone. You know what I mean? There's very few people who make original knowledge alone. Everyone takes from somewhere, the expert. And then when you read, even if you read those like textbooks, I love, when you go down to the
that's
footnotes and they're like, oh yeah, this guy said that part and that person said, and she
And
said
that guy
that,
heard
and
it
that
from the
person,
Anunnaki,
and that
yeah.
person said, and then
Okay.
from who? You're always taking me into weird words.
Highly intelligent extraterrestrial beings called the Anunnaki.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh wait, let's talk about aliens. Actually, Eugene
do
is a huge fan of aliens.
I am
Love
also.
alien.
Me
have
too.
you
Love
discovered
aliens.
anything?
Apparently, we're close to making
So-
first contact in the next 2 years.
You see, I love it. Now we're at the party. He's just
Tell
said
me
that.
more.
Yeah. So there's a guy
First, have your drink and say it. I think it sets the scene.
We're at a party.
Hey, yeah,
So aliens.
So there's an extraterrestrial being that comes through a guy called Daryl Anka. Don't you just hate it when your pessimistic friend is a DJ?
We shouldn't have put him in charge of the music. You were saying.
Oh wow! Oh,
I think I encouraged him to start mixing.
wow.
Now look at me.
Oh, wow.
So there's this being that comes through him. It's been doing this for the last 20, 30 years. It's called Bashar. So Bashar, a couple of years ago,
Are you ready
predicted-
for a Eugene explainer? By the
Wait,
way,
I'm sorry. Are we talking about like
Daryl Anka?
the real
He
world?
channels Bashar.
Or are we
He has
talking about
seminars. Guys, am I the only one who knows about Bashar and Spirit Box at the same time?
so explain the Eugene, please.
Okay, so
this
that-
is one of Eugene's favorite YouTube channels.
Yes. So
Is this like
Spirit Box and Bashar are two different things. But we'll go into Spirit Box later.
and are they is this like I'll ask this the way that my 5-year-old niece would ask
Yes.
this. Like, is this the pretend world or is this the
Real
real
world.
Okay.
But with some level
I'm
of pretend
going
in
to
it.
pull this up in the meantime while he describes it. Then I'm going to play it for you.
So Bashar has been, Daryl Anka has been channeling this being from another planet psychically called Bashar, right? So Daryl does this. And then Bashar, 5 years ago, predicted that in the next coming years, we're going to start seeing things that we can't explain in the sky. So those are different levels of aliens that will start making contact. And then 2 years ago, a year ago, we started seeing drones that people couldn't explain, governments couldn't explain, phenomena that was happening globally at the same time that people couldn't explain. And then he said, 2 years from now, we're going to start seeing more contact, human contact with aliens. And I believe it.
I was gonna go a different route with this.
Tell me.
But
Wait, before you do, I'll play you this is a guest, John Benet Ramsey Spirit Box.
I'm pretty sure when we were talking
No, Spirit
about
Box and Bashar. So start with Bashar. Spirit Box is something else.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, start
I
with-
only remember
say
Spirit
Bashar.
Box because it like made my life.
Say Bashar.
Okay, hold on.
But then you
Are
let
we sure we should be giving this more airtime, Trevor?
we can just bleep them all.
remember when you were worried about your digital
But
diet?
actually, wait, no. So,
That's
so now let me
Yeah,
ask you,
yeah,
as somebody who loves science, who explores, who go, how do you delve into a topic like this? This is a good
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
So let's say we
Yes.
were in the office now. Eugene had just pitched you
well, we did this
because
for
it's huge if it's true.
It
It
is
is
somebody
huge.
can
the show is
speak-
called Huge If True.
If somebody can
And-
speak across like dimensions to
yeah.
aliens,
And also, I mean, I think the thing that I really like to do when I hear things that, with all due respect, may or may not be true,
Yeah.
is you take that and you say, okay, what are people interested in here? And how can I show you the way in which the science that I'm confident is at least going through the scientific process is more interesting for the reasons you are interested in this than a sort of fictional world ever could be. So, for example, people are really interested in the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. There are a lot of conspiracy theories about it.
Yes.
The real Large Hadron...
Wait, what are the conspiracy theories?
Oh, they think it's like going to tear a hole in the universe. They think there's a lot of like...
It'll create a black hole.
Devil worship kind of thing.
Sucks everything.
Yeah, the sort of pseudoscientific, but also like much more spiritual as well, that this is wrong somehow, that we shouldn't be playing God. There's like a lot of like centralizing...
Stargate kind of stuff. Opening a portal for things to come in.
Yeah, and like all of that. Also, like, there have been a couple of instances in which like people have played into this. Like there were a couple of students who pulled a prank where they were like dressed up a certain way and like did a sort of chanting.
Oh man, it never helps.
You see,
that wasn't ideal. But it got a lot of headlines.
I'm deep into conspiracy, so whenever we're
those
close
were a bunch
to something,
of like PhD students or something,
and then a bunch of PhD students play a prank, and that prank becomes more famous than the original conspiracy, and then it rubs out that conspiracy. I think those are agent provocateurs.
Maybe. I don't know. I have no idea.
You'd like this, actually. You might appreciate this. I remember having a conversation with someone who was pretty high up. He used to be at the CIA. And I said to him, I was like, yo, conspiracy theories. Like, are these people real? Are they onto something? And he said something that'll stick with me forever. He said, at the CIA, we laugh at conspiracy theorists and all that. But he said, but we're also glad that they are as crazy as they are, because of how many times they are right.
Ooh.
And can I tell you, that changed my perspective. Because he's a conspiracy theorist. I'm not. I'm genuinely not. But it changed my perspective forever, because I was like, oh, we assume a conspiracy theorist is always wrong.
Yeah.
We assume they're always wrong. And then what he basically said to me was, no. Sometimes they're right. But the stuff that they're wrong on is so often and so crazy that it covers the things that they did get. And then we just get to... That's why they'll never like confirm nor deny anything, because it stacks on itself.
And I think in the last couple of years, they've tried to dispel the myth that most CIA agents are white, and also that what they're doing is unethical. Because you've seen there was this one guy who was famous with an afro, who used to be on all podcasts, and you'll be talking about.
I've seen that guy.
Guys, really? Do you really? I'm here. They hired me with an afro and I'm black. Do you really think they're that bad? Then everyone was like, yeah, are they that bad? But people who've been affected by spies and CIA agents and people who've done things were like, they didn't look like you. So there is always, like, I certainly believe when there's protests, when there's
but that's been proved.
There's always been an agent provocateur who's just person credible enough to dispel what is really going on.
But that's
right?
been proved.
I mean, I think there's a lot to weed out in like.
This is how it starts.
I'm not. I'm not.
Sharp. That's all I needed. Eye contact and a denial.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I'm not.
Eugene's easy to please. Are you a spy? No.
What's
okay,
interesting
cool.
to me, though,
We're good.
I try and think about it like, what is the core interest here? Like, so for example, I love the idea that I might be alive when we make first contact. Like the idea that there are aliens out there, especially intelligent aliens.
I'm taking supplements for that reason.
You want to be alive for longer.
Not for my daughter to graduate university.
To see when we make, totally. Or even, I mean, I would be...
Lion's Mane, I'm in.
I would be excited about like bacteria
Trevor.
on another planet.
I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Cleo, I'm really sorry.
This guy just said... Wait, I'm sorry. This man just said, that's what I'm taking. Because now I pictured the aliens coming down to Earth, making first contact with you specifically, going back to the mothership. And then they go like, have you met them? And it's like, yes, I've made contact, full of magnesium and high levels of lion's mane mushrooms. Is this all of... Yes, I think they are 50% mushroom and 50% human. Are you sure? I'm pretty sure. I scanned him. I'm pretty sure.
And why is his pee orange?
He had
that.
ashwagandha. A lot of ashwagandha in these species. I'm sorry. Sorry, so you were going...
You thought I was bad. Look!
No. But he said I take supplements hoping for that day. We never think of which... Do you know how important it is?
I just nodded and smiled.
Yes, but you know how important it is to think about which human will be our first contact. We never think about that.
Wow.
Because if the aliens do get here and then they meet who they meet first.
But I think they're going to be like looking at us from afar and seeing that there's nitrogen in our atmosphere. Like,
you think
I don't
they're
think
going to
they're
David Attenborough us?
Yeah. I don't think they're
They
going to.
have been.
I don't think
What do you
they're
mean
gonna
they are going to? They have been.
I think there's so many. Well, okay. So to get back to conspiracy theories, I promise. The thing that I am most interested in is what people are interested in. So, for example, the idea that we as humans feel this kind of loneliness, like with each other and also cosmically, that I think is really beautiful somehow. Like we're so used to reaching out to each other that we understand that the world is big, the universe is infinite, unthinkably enormous, and we reach out and we really want that. And so I think that is beautiful and interesting. And when I tell stories, I want to make a video. I just made an episode all about what would happen if an asteroid were about to hit Earth and how we would figure out how to solve that problem. There are real solutions to that, which are fascinating. But I want to do another version of that where I imagine, like, what is the most realistic case where we might encounter aliens? Is it that on the moons of Europa is it that on Europa we're gonna find, bacteria in an ocean somewhere? Is it that we're gonna look at a star system, hundreds of light years away and see that there's an atmosphere there that we think looks like ours because it has life? Like, what would the realistic scenarios be? And then you create a sort of, I'm really into the idea right now of mixing science fiction with the explainer stories that we're doing, because I do think that science fiction, if you are very clear, again, with the voicing with Mark Rober, if you're very clear about what's fiction and what's fact, you can play out a situation. An asteroid is coming for Earth. Okay, now what is the real science and technology that we would use in that situation? So in this case, okay, imagine the realistic scenarios in which we might actually encounter life off Earth. What would happen next? What would we do if we encountered some, light? How would we verify that? Would we send a probe? It's going to take 100 years to get there. If it's 100, it's going to take much, much more than that, actually. Yeah. How would we verify that? And so you play this out and you accept what people find interesting and what the seed is. And then you try and show them the science and the technology that you're convinced is real through the scientific method, but that gets at this thing that they are excited about. So another example is...
It's the same as the 1902 article.
Exactly. Yeah, you try and do that in an optimistic way so people can see, like, okay, if the plane were to fly, what would that mean? Okay, if we were to find aliens, what would that look like? What is the real science and tech there? Same thing. I guess what I'm doing is sort of sci-fi.
You are the 1902 first article.
Yeah,
was it 1903 or 1902?
1903 for the
Wright Brothers was 1903.
Pretty sure, yeah.
Okay, 1903.
I don't know. I'm just making sure I remember it correctly.
Yeah, 1903.
And so you can do that over and over again with all of these different interests. I don't even want to call them conspiracy theories. It's just like, you're interested in CERN. You're interested in the fact that we're smashing particles together. Let me tell you the real science and tech.
No, can I tell you?
Yeah. Smashing protons. The real thing that we're doing underground.
Particle smashing. Hey, Eugene. Only Eugene could make science sexy. You see those particles smashing. I was
thinking more combative, but...
Yeah. Now I get it.
What did the one Hadron Collider say to the other Hadron Collider? So, did you smash? Hey. There's a scientist out there who's loving that. He's like, yeah! I just realized that's a superpower that you have. That is not just in short supply. I can't think of many people I've met who have this ability. You spend very little to no time focusing on the definitive place that people find their imaginations at. And instead, you encourage the possibilities of where that imagination could lead. So like you just did it now, right? Eugene goes, I believe the aliens and they speak like this and they're doing this. And I'm going like, I don't believe in this. I believe it's pop, but I don't believe in this. And we roll like that. We're friends. And I always say what I love about that is like, I don't think people have enough friendships where their friend has a thing. Like Eugene treats my views on soccer like I treat his views on aliens. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm like, that game, he's like, what game? There was no, this is all not, like, you know what I mean? But we have fun with it. We genuinely do. But what you do is more interesting, is like, you don't sit in the, is it right? Is it wrong? Is it real? Is it not? Is it no? You go, how would we? What would we? Where would we? It like encourages this journey. It encourages a journey
Yeah, and
for
then
everyone
you
involved.
Just direct
Do you know what I mean?
like
well,
that.
the
Encourage
energy
journey.
is there, the
Yeah.
desire to learn, and the desire.
Yeah, but I think most
the
people
desire
don't
to do research.
But
for
I think
God's
most
sake,
people
like,
don't treat people like that. Like, I tried to explain this to somebody once. I genuinely did not have the eloquence nor the compassion that I think you have when engaging in the topics. But I remember saying this around like parents with vaccines, you know? And I remember, I think on one of our episodes, we talked to maybe Dr. Becky about it. And I was saying a lot of parents are anti-vaccine, right? And we live in a world now, for the most part, where people go pro, anti, fight. How can you not? How can you? And that's it. It's as simple as that. And there's very few people who'll take a moment to go, well, somebody who's anti-vaccine has actually spent a lot of time on their own Googling and reading. And that's almost why they've become anti-vaccine, is because they've gone out of their way to consume copious amounts of information that have led them down a certain path. Now, whether the information is valid or not is a separate discussion, but it means that they have a hunger and they have an interest in the topic that has now brought them to that place.
Can you offer more
can you offer
research
anything
that allows them to do that thing that they do in a direction that has more for them to do it too? There's more information over here. You could be more excited about all of the many different research papers that are coming out every day. Like here's a place to start. Like here's some interesting information. And I also think like the thing that gets me really excited is that the world is very strange and very exciting and full of things to learn and to get excited about. And so I view my job as to create a menu of journalistically rigorous, genuinely beautiful, deep explainers that might excite someone to go down all of these different paths.
Have any of them been wrong in any way?
I mean, we issue corrections when we get things wrong.
You do?
There haven't been any major stories where the underlying point of the story has been wrong.
Right.
And we work really, really hard to make sure that that's not the case. If it ever is, we would do a big correction on that. So far, it hasn't happened. But every once in a while, we'll need to do a correction on a fact. So you can YouTube has a really great UX where you can put the time code and then a colon and put
UX
correction.
is user
experience.
Experience, okay.
So there's a feature on YouTube where you can say the time code and then say correction and put whatever you want people to understand that is different than the fact that you said. So I do this sometimes if I say like, an example would be I use the wrong, we do everything in metric, but I have an American audience as well. So if a translation is incorrect, I would put the correct one, or something like things that are sometimes they're more deep than that. We had a cave that we said was in one country, but it's actually in another. You put the correction, and this is basic journalistic practice. This is what you want, if you're telling a story.
But, I mean, you say that, but we live in a world where
this is our journalistic
that
practice.
Isn't a why journalism? By the way, I mean, if both parents were in law, why did you pick journalism?
Well, I began working at Vox on the business side, actually.
Okay.
I was really excited. I had no experience as a journalist, and I was really excited about the idea that I could help facilitate the storytelling that I was so excited about.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Like, are you ever not excited? No, you strike me as a very positive, optimistic, excited. Like, I understand making videos about asteroids hitting the Earth and like explaining the world. Excited. I'm with you completely. Law, death penalty, excited. You just said I was going to go work in the business division, business affairs, and I was excited. And your eyes told me that you
looked excited.
Yeah.
Is there anything where you go like boring? Like, is there anything, or have you always had this as a filter on the world?
I think I was so incredibly lucky that somehow. I don't think it's innate. I think I was taught this somehow along the way. That there's nothing. I'm doing an episode right now. I'll spoil it. When does this come out?
Well, whenever it needs to come out.
I don't know. This is not the kind of thing that is like a big spoiler. We're working on an episode for the Olympics that'll come out during the Olympics.
Okay.
And we're focusing on curling, the sport.
Big
wheel of cheese.
I'm obsessed with curling. I think curling is just the most fast. From a physics perspective, the ice is amazing. There are all kinds of applications of the way that the curling stone spins that might, in an interesting way, help us solve physics problems.
When I talk about Bashar, you guys criticize me.
No, I promise.
Eugene.
You're talking about a granite
Yeah.
wheel of cheese.
Eugene,
Yeah.
let's be clear. I've never criticized you. I've only mocked you. There's a difference.
Where in the UX can I put this correction? You want some?
Yeah.
So yes, you're fascinated by curling. And you said how it might help us solve?
So there's a physics mystery in curling, which is, oh man, I gotta explain this now. So
this is your life.
No. This is the thing that nobody would understand.
No,
Wait,
throw
hold
it.
on. I'll explain this one second.
Okay,
I need a prop.
You need a sip? Yes.
Okay. No, she needs a prop. She's gonna.
Oh, a prop. So okay.
Okay.
You're the life.
That
of the
would be
party.
really fun if we were.
Yeah. If we were at a party now, you'd be like, all right.
Okay. So the mystery in curling is usually if I have this and I spin it. I don't know if you saw that, but I was spinning it in this direction.
Yeah.
And it moved that way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So it counters it.
Yes. In curling, that's not what happens. I can't demonstrate it with this right now, but if you're with a curling stone, which has a very specific like bottom, and you spin it on the ice, if you watch Olympic curling, it will spin this direction, right? That's the same as what I spin, and it will move this way. And that has been confusing physicists for 100 years.
Why is the other one normally happening? Is it centrifugal force? What is happening?
Something
What's causing
about
that?
So the reason why that happens. So I spun that way, it moved that way. I think I did it a little bit. Let's see if I can do it going straight. Really trying to make it work. Yeah, so it moved that way. I spun it that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why that happens is something to do with friction on the front, and it like I don't totally understand why it happens, but it basically happens with everything.
Got it.
So if you the physics of this spin and the friction of forward motion means that it should move that way. But on ice with a curling stone, it goes the opposite direction than you would expect.
Because there's no friction?
So we don't totally understand why. So this has been confusing physicists. There are a lot of genuine research papers written about this. This has been confusing physicists for like 100 years. And there's a lot of very reasonable reasons. If you ask why, and you look at the papers, there are a bunch of reasons that they give. There's one theory that has to do with the friction on the front of a curling stone is different than if it's on this because the ice is melting slightly as the friction moves across. So there's something to change about the friction.
Like, is it that the water and the ice are like doing two opposite things, and then there's like a layer
theories
between them, or
I couldn't repeat to you what the theories are.
You just tricked me into being interested in curling.
I know.
Look at me.
So this
now
is my
I'm going to
point.
be watching the Olympics, watching curling, trying to figure out why the stone spins the way it does.
This is exactly my point.
And what material is the stone? Granite?
A really special granite. It comes from one island. Every single Olympic curling stone comes from the same island.
What island?
It's called...
You can just say any island and we'll throw in a correction. We should just do that for fun. Just to show people how it works.
So it's a specific
island in
island
Scotland.
with
It's called... I'm not going to remember this. I'm not going to imagine.
Just say an island. Just say an island. The island of Stone.
Alisa Craig, thank you so much.
the sober guy at the party.
I'm a facts man.
But see, every single stone comes from that one island. Okay, here's my point.
And
with
every
this
single
story.
boring person comes from that island too. Thanks for the facts guy. We were having so much fun here, guessing.
They were going to make me make up an island, so thank you.
Oh, man.
Here's my point with this.
The island of Bashar, and then we would have put the correction. See?
soon.
It would have been perfect.
soon.
Sorry, Eugene. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay.
My point is that curling is a sport where if you read the YouTube comments in most videos about curling, or if you look at the way that people cover curling, especially on television during the Olympics, they make a lot of fun of it. Mm-hmm. They talk a lot about like, how did this become an Olympic sport? Like, oh, why are we like, it's sort of a joke. It becomes a joke. First, I think curling is amazing, and I think the curling athletes are amazing. So I think that shouldn't be the case in the first place.
You call them athletes?
Yeah. Oh, I tried curling at the curling Olympic trials. I tried it. It's insanely hard.
Wait, what
It's
makes
so
it hard? What's hard about it? Knowing that your friends might see you doing it?
No, the balance of doing it.
I mean,
and like,
you know we sat at this we are, man. You know we sat at this we are, man. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Man, you know.
I'm so jealous of that line.
Come on, Eugene. You know we sat at this we on, baby.
I've never heard you use that voice before.
Don't be out here acting like you don't know we shot a curling we on.
This is my point, you guys, which is
Cleo are trying to trick us into acting like curling is not funny. Some people think it's funny. We are those people. You don't have to go far.
No.
There are some people who think we are those people. You have found us.
I am going to make the case for this. I am such a big curling fan. I am going to make this case. My point.
Okay, sorry.
My point is that it is lame to be the cynic who looks at curling and thinks, oh, it's funny, it's not interesting. Not that you guys, but
damn,
it's lame.
Shots
it is much
fired.
It is much more interesting. And it makes your life better to be the person that goes, why does it work that way?
Got you.
Why is that? Turns out there's a crazy physics mystery and a stone island and a relationship to how we're going to discover aliens, by the way, because we don't need to understand physics of curling, but it relates to the way in which we're going to explore islands it relates to the way that we're going to explore planets with ice and oceans underneath. So we need there's a whole physics of the way that ice rubs against other things, and you need to understand that if you're going to drill into planet. It's just, my point is that there's an endless amount of interesting things to know when you don't stop at, oh, that looks a little funny.
Yeah.
Or it's boring.
You know what's funny? You
It's
just
hidden
made me,
clues
you
of the
just,
universe.
but you also just made me realize that comedy does the exact opposite of what you're saying, but it's all about assumption. You know what I mean?
I would actually say that your comedy makes me think more about the everyday things.
You're very kind, but I think like when I think of like most, if you think of some of the crazier jokes that we'll tell as comedians, fundamentally what we're doing is the seed is the same. It's all born in curiosity and being inquisitive. However, the conclusion is necessary. Like the assumption of the conclusion is necessary. Otherwise, it isn't. One of the first ones where I knew this was Jerry Seinfeld. One of his most famous jokes was about the expiration dates on milk. And he was like, how do they know? How do they know when you milk the cow? It's like, they've got the date. And it's like, and he had this really amazing bits about like, he's like, are they milking the cow? And then the farmer leans in and then the cow's like, yo, January 7th or what? You know what I mean? That's very funny bit. I never laughed at it, never found it funny because I knew before I saw the joke how they have the expiry date and it's just a number of days after it comes out of the cow. And so I learned in that moment that a lot of comedy relies on you not knowing
the facts.
Being curious, but don't pull out a phone. Don't do the research. Don't just be like, how do they? And then you've got to go on your own journey and figure it out. And God forbid you figure out the truth. It's just like
the joke is finished.
Yeah, the joke just like
such a CIA thing to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of what you've been doing with your comedy is like you do explain. Like you land an explainer after a funny journey. If
it's a real story, I mean, you and I are similar in that way. If it's like a real thing, I'm not going to try and make it not. But there are moments where you go, what is like one of my favorite jokes of myself? Every comedian has their own favorites. Is one of mine was like the origins of the Ku Klux Klan, and I was like, where did they get the name, the KKK, right? Because then I looked into it. Then it's like the joke was something about like how the origins were they got it from the Greek Brotherhood. It was Ku Klux Alphion was the original name, right? Ku Klux Alphion, Ku Klux Klan is how they got the name, Ku Klux Klan, right? But then I was like, it's not Ku Klux Klan. It's not supposed to be KKK. It was supposed to be like
KKA.
It was supposed to be like KKC, and then it was supposed to be a whole thing. And then I played with it, and I took you down the origins of it. But it was crazy stuff. And then I ended up on KFC. And I was like, that's the original. That's supposed to be the name of the KKK is the KFC. But then they were like, we can't do that. Then I was like, because black people would love them. And then
who told you they couldn't do it?
I thought you were gonna say who told them black people would love them. Yo, you were so close. You were so close.
That's why I'm not a comic.
And then I ended it by saying, but I guess everyone wins because I'm sure the KFC has been responsible for the deaths of way more black people than the KKK.
My man, we're trying to get sponsors on this thing. Aren't you tired of struggling?
Oh my God.
Aren't you tired?
Oh man.
We're walking home after this, thanks to you.
Amazing.
I'm gonna
No,
go get
Cleo
another
doesn't even
drink.
have water. You see what happens with no funding.
Actually, I need more.
it.
Can I
I
get water
chugged
for? She chugged it
for the sake of science.
She chugged it for the sake of science to show us something. Oh, it's right behind you in the credenza. It's in the credenza.
It's called a credenza.
in the credenza.
And a cadenza is something else.
My uncle used
Cadenza
to
is
drive
a problem.
Credenza.
Oh, thank you so. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you. You need all of it.
Yeah, you.
All of it. No. But
I like how Cleo put the water on turbo. She was like, hey!
no. So I like. But I think the seed of it and the essence is fundamentally the same, and that is curiosity. Once we stop being curious, we stop growing. Like we stagnate. We don't try and make the plane. We don't try and make the rocket ship. We don't try and make the hadron collider. We don't try and make the internet. We don't try and, all of that requires curiosity. You know what I mean? And I know I've said this to you before, but I go, people forget that the only way you can invent something is to imagine it first.
Yes.
But it can't exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have to imagine it, and
Everything
then
that exists is someone's imagination.
yeah. Someone just went like, imagine if, and then
Yeah.
now we treat that as like a helicopter. We just treat as a normal thing. Of course, a helicopter works. Yo, helicopter.
it?
Have you explained helicopters? Because those things are crazy.
It's actually incredibly difficult to explain.
Those things are-
like the
those things
physics
should
of a
not be
helicopter is
flying.
very, very hard.
Those
yeah.
things should not be in the air.
Didn't Da Vinci draw
Yeah.
the first helicopter?
Yeah, but even his was more normal.
Really? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
His one was
I might be
better.
wrong, but
yeah,
you-
it was
know
that.
that.
It was
Yeah,
that.
that
It had that
spiral.
spirally thing.
And they
His
said
one
it
was
would
better than what they.
never work.
Yeah, what they
See,
made
but
today.
This is so fun. Like this is what we're trying to do
And
with
that's
all the
because of
things that
aliens.
will come next. That too. And
Have
and
you
that's
have
the-
you explained? So, are there any things you've tried to explain or gone into that has left you with more questions than answers?
Oh, most things, I think. Yeah, because imagine, so you start out with something and you're like, take the CERN episode, for example.
Okay.
So you start out and you are curious about why there is a 17-mile loop underground
Yeah.
in Switzerland and France, and it runs underneath all of these farms and houses, and it's just this like massive tube with a vacuum in it. And down the tube, they're firing protons in opposite directions. And then when the protons are going nearly at the speed of light, they smash them together in one of these massive detectors. Like, why are they doing that? Why did they
Why are
choose
they
to
doing
build
it
that?
there?
Why are they doing it there? Why are they?
Hitler.
Why? I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. Until someone comes up with a better catalyst.
I think it
Oh
was
my
just
goodness.
international collaboration.
Until
But maybe. I
someone-
don't know. I genuinely don't know. And so you have all these questions, and so you begin to answer them. You ask, for example, why do we want to smash protons together? And
Yeah.
it's like, well, the energies that you can get create different kinds of particles that we think were around at the beginning of the universe. So it's
Right.
teaching us things about the beginning of the universe. It is also proving the existence.
Just to confirm, is it the beginning of like our universe
The Big
or
Bang.
all universes? Which I've never known.
I don't know that much about
Because it's our
multi-universe theory.
I think it's the universe
I think
in
it's-
totality. Yeah.
I think it's.
But I'm
it's-
saying, are they? Because I don't know. I only thought of this now
mean-
while you were saying it. I was like,
Because Tina, when
There's more-
humans
there's
think
more
of-
I think the
universe,
question,
right?
I think the question you're asking is the theory about multiverses, do they all begin
Don't
at the
get
Big
me
Bang?
started.
that's what I'm asking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
saying,
don't
is it all universes or just our universe?
all
universes
Yeah.
from one Big Bang.
one Big Bang.
Huh.
All
I mean, he said it
it-
with such
He
confidence.
really did, and this is how he wins all our arguments. Because now he beat me.
I genuinely don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's about all universe because you must remember up until recently we thought the universe was our planet.
Yes, that's true.
That's what we thought, right? But you can see in pop culture starting to pop up the theory of quantum jumping, the theory of the multiverse, and they're all interlinked because you look at popular movies that show Doctor Strange going from one port to the other.
Yeah.
You like they're explaining that, but the theory of whatever you're going through now, there's another version of you that didn't choose to do the thing that you're doing now.
Yeah.
So
Oh, this is
if-
a really good episode idea. I
Yeah, so
haven't
if-
done much on like multiverses. I'm going
I
to write
really
this
think
down
you
after
should.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's a really good story.
so I think when the
There's a very
Schrodinger's cat
serious
theory as
physics
well.
theory. Yeah, I
So
don't know.
people like observing photons and atoms because there's this theory that if you're observing it, it changes, but if you're not
Yeah.
looking at it. But it's like mostly with anything. But you think of yourself in your apartment or your house. If you're in the living room, you don't know what's going on in the bedroom. But
Yes.
somehow your curiosity, because we always think of curiosity as grandiose. Something has to be invented and you have to have something to show for it. But it sometimes happens to you when you're sitting in your living room and you go, I wonder what's going on in the bedroom. And you meander in there and then you go, everything as I left it, then you go back to where you're from. So I think answering those questions of why there's a loop underground smashing protons, there's a few guys who are really interested in finding out why, but the impacts of it will reverberate towards everything that we're doing currently.
Absolutely.
Right?
And
it's like a cell phone signal. We didn't care until we cared.
And when I look into those stories and I wonder, why did a couple hundred scientists build something like this? What is the purpose? And
no
then
girlfriends.
Why do they... there are some female scientists too. And then why do they want to build
girlfriend
bigger
will
ones?
stop you. You're going to wear a white coat and do what? No, we're going to Switzerland. There's a loop. And then there's a torch. The other friend is going to be firing the torch from. And then.
But like, here's a question.
No science.
Here's a question that I had when I was going into this story. How do they make them hit each other? Like
that one blew my mind.
How do they make them hit each other?
Yeah.
That's a good way. So then you keep going, and every question begets like 10 more questions.
Yes.
And everyone, it's like a fractal says, out and out and out.
But
so
you know
I
what's
think
funny
all
is
of the
most
stories
people
are
who
like
do
that.
this become pessimistic.
Really?
Yeah, I find most people, or many people, who go whatever, but then they go into like a spiral of, but then nothing.
No, they start off curious.
Yes,
and
yes.
they can lean towards pessimism or helplessness.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which comes back to
that's exactly what I mean.
Said, that's
whereas
what you're trying to avoid.
Whereas you find, so maybe that would be a great thing to help. I mean, because I think it would be great for everyone to have that feeling and that framework for life. What is it about the endless possibility of questions that leaves you feeling fulfilled as opposed to debilitatingly unknowing?
You know, there's this feeling of awe when you look at something that you already know is spectacular.
Yeah.
Like you go and you look at, I've never seen this, but this is what I imagine the feeling of looking at like the aurora, like the northern lights. Or
bucket list.
Yeah, or like
Apparently better on your phone.
Is it really?
I've just heard this.
Well, you sound
From
like a
the
Debbie
guides.
Downer.
No, I'm just from the guides. They say when you're there.
Yeah.
Okay, what's something that fills you with a sense of
No.
awe?
I just wanted to let you guys know that it's beautiful on your phone when you're there, because you should do something on this.
About why it like filters
because
through your
resolution is better.
Apparently your phone, and again, I'm only working on what I've heard from people who've gone there,
Yeah.
and they've said that your guide even is like, because some people are like,
Why is
no,
your voice so
don't,
calm all of a sudden?
don't pull out, because it's the nighttime sky, Eugene.
Oh.
You want me to be shouting
we're
like
feeling,
Aurora
we're feeling
Borealis?
awe.
Yeah.
We're there.
So
And then
it
they
could
say
be
pull out
anything,
your
though.
phone, and
Like,
it looks better on the phone. You should check.
Think
you should
about
look
that
into
feeling that you have, though, when you look at something that you know is astonishing. Actually, it's even better for this story when you're looking at something that humans built that's astonishing.
Yeah. The
I
pyramids.
have that feeling, like my show allows me
Humans.
to have that feeling a lot.
Humans.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
Like-
Pyramids.
Don't interrupt.
Yes. Humans.
Why?
we should
like you're
continue this
confusing the pyramids with the Burj Khalifa.
And you were saying?
I was saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I have that feeling a lot. I have that feeling a lot
Why are you
about
whispering now?
Because we're in the nighttime sky, Eugene.
Oh, sorry,
feeling
sorry.
of awe.
I'm sorry,
I
I
think-
ruined the
I put
mood.
us in the mood.
Of like planes and vaccines and the fact that water comes out of a tap when you open it. Like
It is ridiculous.
There are things that are ridiculous. And I feel very lucky to be alive right now. And I feel like the next 100 years, I hope, will be even more interesting. And I have this incredibly rare opportunity that we all have to understand what that might look like. And there's so many things happening right now. The idea that I could get the opportunity to go understand quantum computers and bringing back supersonic planes and the Large Hadron Collider and artificial wombs and, faster, more efficient cars and, all of these things that I've had the chance to do. Theoretical physics by going in a zero gravity plane. Like, how incredibly lucky, first of all, to be able to tell those stories. But also just as a person, this is the show that I wanted to watch. This is the thing that I felt like I was missing.
Your version of Popular Mechanics for Kids. Yeah. Remember the show?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think what you're explaining now is I have a theory that the next 100 years, we won't see any huge technological jumps.
Really?
I think it will be, to explain it to people, will be the same as how we've been, as gamers, anticipating the release of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes. Preach, brother.
But then it keeps being postponed.
It does
and
indeed.
In its postponement, we've realized that there's so much we haven't explored in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh,
We
interesting.
keep discovering new universes, there's upgrades, it gets better and better. And we like, now we've come out and said, but Grand Theft Auto 6 can wait. But I think there's so much that we haven't explored about because we've been on this technological binge and gorge, as you were saying.
We're just going to the next thing.
We've just moved
before
move,
we...
devices,
probably means
shows,
what do you
information.
mean by like big shift? Like I think that's...
Like there won't be any new technology that blows us out the water.
That's your bet.
That's my 100% bet.
Wow.
I think
We should
that's-
save this.
Please do.
No. I'm serious. Just as like
Yeah.
a bet. I'm interested.
Yeah, but I
don't think you're
I think
crazy,
you could
but
end up. I think you could end up right in a lot of different ways. So you could end up right where like we already have machine learning, so we already have like AI.
Yeah.
But there are lots of ways in which it isn't yet applied, right? We've just seen, AlphaFold. We've just seen like some of the beginnings of things that are going to be hopefully really interesting for our lives. And so I think in that sense, like you could call those new technologies, or you could call them evolutions of what we're already seeing.
Exactly.
But
That's
it happens over time. I think you're right that it's like it's always one
it's an
foot in front of the
improvement.
other.
It's an upgrade.
It's always like that.
But
Yeah,
there'll
yeah, yeah.
never be anything new because if you think about it, if we
Not
go...
in the sense of like, now we're back to aliens. Oh no, not in the sense of
like how you're
like
coming
something
back
just
home.
like hits
Come
us. You
back
know?
home.
Yeah, I don't think anything's gonna hit us
that's
like a
another
lightning bolt. But I
version.
think like you get to be a part of the progress of technology, and I think that's a really exciting thing to lean into, so that you get to say what you think it should do for us.
But the more we want something new, the more the underpinnings stay the same. Because if you think about it, we need textile has been the same, just a little bit improvement here and there, farming, engineering. And that is the underpinnings of engineering can fall under buildings, transportation and medication and science. And then obviously textile can fall into other, what we use to design, how we dress and how our homes look like, and agriculture, how we stay alive.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything new is going to come. I think once people start doing hydroponics, we're like, we've reached the end, guys. We don't need soil.
This is
We
the
don't-
limit.
I was like,
Yeah, I mean, I think in a certain sense, like everything is, and this is something I love about humans. Everything stands on the shoulders of what came before it. I completely agree that like nothing is new out of thin air. Everything is one step above what the people who came before you built. And I think that's actually a big part of what I'm trying to do is to explain, for example, when I'm trying to explain new ways to communicate and like why, everybody is trying to put satellites to have the internet. Wow, you really know where I was going with this. You need to explain how the internet infrastructure works right now. You need to explain the cables on the bottom of the ocean. Like in order to understand what's next, you need to understand what's now. And we spend a lot of time doing that on the show, explaining like, if you are, trying to understand why we don't have supersonic planes, you need to understand the history of the Concorde. You need to understand how planes currently work. You need to understand what happens when there's a sonic boom over everything, right? I think there's so much that we can learn about the future from understanding what's happening right now. And I think, one thing that we haven't touched on yet is...
how we use war to test out technologies.
We did touch on that.
Okay, sharp.
You brought that in.
He always does.
Yeah.
Continue.
Is the way in which you get the opportunity to go down these rabbit holes and choose whatever you want to make is by owning your own thing, by making your own thing. Like we haven't talked about the fact that we're having this conversation on a show that you're publishing on YouTube, and that you get to decide like how long this goes on for together. You guys are coming up with the ideas.
Well, you're part of it as well. You can just walk out.
100%.
You could leave any time.
As you often do
here
at
for
parties, apparently.
You
hours.
could just bounce.
We're gonna transition.
No, but you're right. And
nighttime.
actually, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because it's something that I've been fascinated about, because I think you're at the vanguard of a movement that wasn't particularly obvious at the time. There are many people who've started their own things because they were never part of something mainstream, which often makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
Right? If you're not part of something, you will oftentimes create your own thing. You were definitely part of something, and you were part of something that was quite popular, quite powerful, and quite it was quite obvious, for lack of a better term. You then left when it wasn't obvious, and you went off to do the least obvious thing in many ways. Help me understand that thinking. Like, what is it about the environment you were in, and what is it about you as a person that made you go, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try create the world that I want to live in, even though it's a lot riskier than the world that I'm currently in?
Thank you for putting it that way. I first got obsessed with the idea of this show. We spent a long time now talking about why I'm so obsessed with this idea. Like, I hope that you can see that it's like, it really comes from my desire to watch it, like my desire to make it creatively. Like, there's just this itch that's just kind of unbearable at a certain point. And I wanted to make it. And I wanted to know if other people wanted to watch it. One of the most incredibly gratifying things about making Huge If True has been that all of a sudden there are other people who are along for the same ride you are, that feel the same itch that you do, that also felt like the journalism that they were getting was pessimistic and it wasn't a full media diet, and they wanted something like this. Like, to see that other people have the same feeling that you do is really, really gratifying. And I knew that in order to make something that had this kind of, to be honest, like sharp edge, like Huge is different than other media that I consume. And that's not to say that other media isn't great, but there are things that I'm saying I don't like about mainstream media. There are things that, the show has an incredible positivity and a joy. It also has an edge. It's saying, like, there is harm in being knee-jerk pessimistic. There is a point to this show, and we're doing things a different way. And that feeling, I just knew that I wouldn't be able to do that in the way that I really wanted to do it. And I wouldn't be able to test whether the actual thing that was in my brain was the thing that other people wanted if I was inside a big media company.
Right.
Like, to be clear, I wasn't offered the opportunity to make this show inside a big media company, but I didn't pitch it. I didn't want to have the incentives and the constraints and the lack of control inside of media.
We talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
We literally talk about this all the time.
You did this.
Yeah.
And in fact, and so that was the main point, was I really wanted to make this show the way that I wanted to make it.
Were you ever afraid
of meeting us?
No.
Look at what it's done to your life.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. I think there's still, when you're making anything that you really love, I think there's an underlying fear of it first not working, then when it is working, oh my God, it might go away. Like, you live with a kind of, when you're really doing something that you love, you live with a kind of healthy fear, I think. I think that's good. I think that feels good, actually, to not always feel, first, the fear of something not working means that I think you're pushing yourself creatively. Second, the fear of other people not liking it means that you are potentially making something that some people will dislike and some people will love, and that's probably healthy. And third, there's just a fear of putting yourself out there, like a fear of, like, doing what you want and it just not working, or once you have success of it going away. And I want to feel that. Like, I want to feel that all the time. And so it felt much scarier to do this.
Don't press anything. We've got more What Now after this. Now that you're in it, how do you insulate yourself from the hedonic adaptation of the success? How do you... It's something that's always fascinated me when I watch people in life. Someone's an actor. They just dream of getting an acting gig. And then they get into a movie and this is their dream. And then now they want to be one of the leads. And then they are one of the leads. And then they want to be the lead. And then they are the lead. Then they want to be a star. Then they are a star. Then they want to be an A-list star. Then they're an A-list star. And then all of a sudden, they spend all their days depressed that their box office numbers aren't what they used to be. I used to think that was reserved, and maybe naively when I thought this, I thought it was reserved for, like, mainstream and industry. But you realize it applies to everything in life. And I see this with a lot of people on TikTok, on YouTube, who create and make. and they hit a high. And man, getting back to that high, or like, have you ever? I've always enjoyed doing this. I'll go to somebody's, like, let's say a TikTok goes viral, like mega viral, everyone's watching it, and then I'll go down a rabbit hole of that person's page, and it's amazing to see how they were just doing whatever they wanted to do, and then one video goes absolutely viral. And then watch how their whole page after that just becomes that video now.
Alters their trajectory.
Yeah, but more importantly, it alters how they see themselves and what they should be or shouldn't be doing. So you find they're singing karaoke, they're cooking food in front of the camera, they're hanging out with their friends, they're doing all these things. And then the karaoke video goes viral. Then they hang out with their friends, nothing. Then they cook, nothing. Then they do karaoke again, semi-viral. And then you just see them make that their identity. How do you grapple with that? And like, do you have any safeguards, or do you have any ideas that you impose on yourself where you go, oh, this is how I always come back to me being me and not letting the clicks define who I become?
It's not me. It's the show.
Oh.
Everything comes back to the mission of the show.
Oh, I like that.
And so for me, I didn't start with a lot of different ways in which I could be popular on YouTube. I started with, I want to make this one show. Will it or will it not work? Do you also want this show?
Mm-hmm.
How do you define work, though? Like, will it work? What's your metric for will it work?
Can I make things that I'm proud of that have this mission of showing people optimistic visions of the future so that they can help build them, the 3 pillars? Mm-hmm. Can I successfully do that and get better and better at it? And by the way, experiment in lots of different ways. The science fiction in the asteroid episode, the, going to Formula One behind the scenes. Like, there are lots of different ways in which we experiment with formats and topics. But can I do something that meets this mission that we set out to with Huge If True? And also, do people want to watch that? Is that because the reason why I am so ambitious with this show, I really want this show to be watched by many, many more people than it is now, is because I actually think it accomplishes something that I want to happen in the world. I really think that if more people had generally a media diet that allowed them to see these visions more often and allowed them to participate more in the conversation and allowed them to explore how they could contribute to the world in an optimistic way, we'd all be better for it. Yeah. And I wish more people were doing it, but right now, like, the way that I can accomplish that in the world is through making this show enormous. And so I have this incredibly strong ambition and motivation to make this show watched by millions and millions of people, which it already is, and it's growing, and I'm so incredibly proud of that. But at the same time, I'm not trying to find the way in which they'll like me. I'm trying to see if they like this. There's a world in which nobody wanted to watch this, and then I just stopped.
Okay.
Because I wasn't experimenting. I didn't start out the channel by saying, here I am, I'm going to explore, like, I'm just going to make things, like, come along with me for the journey.
Right.
I said, I'm going to make this show. And that, I think, has been really protective.
Well, yeah, you've separated yourself from the project, from the work.
Yeah. And then the other thing that's happened along the way.
That in, sorry to interrupt you, I feel like that's in that book. I'm sure many people have said it, but in that book, The War of Art, I think it's really amazing. I think you'd enjoy it. But it talks about the complicated nature of artistry and the journey of making and what it means to create, right? Mm-hmm. To take something from nothing, bring it out into the world, make it something, and then other people consume it. Yeah. And one of the main things it speaks about is how the true mastery of being an artist requires you to know that you are not your work and your work is not you, but you have deep pride in that work. Because if you're unable to separate yourself from it, then in its success or in its failure, you will always define yourself.
Yeah.
But if you go, this is a thing I made or did, do you like it? Yes, no? All right, well, I made it.
But I guess you are experiencing, there's always, what I find is a healthy amount of insecurity that comes with being an artist. And I think that's why even the greatest artists were either unhappy or they had to have paradigm shifts where they move elsewhere. Because I think when you catch on to a great idea, they always explain it as you have an antenna. Everyone has. Ideas are floating around, but one person will catch it. But they have to have the naivety and the confidence to think that what they're thinking is unique. Then go out there and do it. And then if they've done it enough, they start thinking, well, if I'm here, like Einstein, he thinks if I'm here in Germany and everyone maybe I must go somewhere else. Then he goes somewhere else. Then he comes here. Then here they're like, tell us more about that thing of yours. Because he goes, where I come from,
everyone's thinking this.
Van Braun is here because he makes rockets. So clearly there's something there. So you go somewhere else. And that's where I think the analogy that I made about being in the living room and then going into the bedroom to see what's going on, only to come back again to the living room, comes into play. And I think if you don't move as an artist, and I think that's what you are, if you don't move, you realize that you die. If you don't evolve, you perish.
Yeah.
And then you try to create a show that makes us evolve forcefully at our pace and the comfort of our own homes and screens, right?
Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
You want this?
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Eugene.
I think that's exactly
really beautiful.
Right. Yeah. I wanted that creative opportunity. I wanted that for myself. I wanted it for the show. I wanted it for the audience. Now I have this incredible team that I work with that you asked also, how do I make sure that it stays the show? Like, they know what feels like huge.
Oh, that's great.
And they create a constraint.
That's great.
Like there's a team culture and a team mission, and we're all together making this thing. And so I am the vessel to make the thing better on screen, but we're all making it together. And that, I think, is really important to maintain the mission of what you're doing. And so all of those things, I think, help a lot. And then there's also the enormous wave. I mean, we haven't talked yet about, I think, Huge and what we're doing is part of at least 3 big trends in media right now.
Okay. And what are those 3?
The first is that YouTube is eating television. Yep. I mean, YouTube has been the most watched streaming platform for at least 2 years.
It's eating it alive, which is very sad.
It's wild to watch.
Don't wait for it to die first. It's kicking it.
No. And by the way, I mean, you guys have been part of that. Jesus.
Oh, sorry, it's a deep cut.
Yeah, sorry.
And so you guys have been part of that. And the wave of YouTube allowing, I mean, because the bet that YouTube made was incredible, right? Like, every other streamer said, if we have a small number of gatekeepers and they decide what gets made, then that is the best stuff that most people will want to watch, and that's the stuff that should get made. And there's a whole business model around giving upfront money. You make the thing, you put the thing, you have a subscription, you watch the thing. And that's the philosophy that has grown every other streaming platform. And YouTube had a fundamentally different bet, which was, if we give a platform and split advertising revenue with anyone in the world who could make great things, then if we wait and we allow that work to kind of improve and percolate upward and have a system that recommends the right work to the right people, then that is actually the way that we will get the work that the most people want to watch.
100%.
That's a crazy bet. That is fundamentally different bet than every other streamer. And it turns out it's working. And how incredible is it that works?
I'm torn, though, on it, though.
Yes, there's a lot of...
I'll tell you why I'm torn. Only because, obviously on the one side, I think it's amazing. I think to live in a world where people can create what they feel needs to be created if they don't see it, and people get to consume what they want to consume. Like, I have a friend who watches knife sharpening videos. That's pretty much all he does. Is just like watch knife sharpening videos. Is he in this room? Yeah.
Is he good?
He is in this room.
He passed away. By in this room, he means...
Bashar!
Oh, he's here!
He's here with us now. He's here with us now.
I heard his voice screaming from the great beyond.
No, so like, but what I mean by that is, I do think that part of it is amazing. Just like your show, what I like to try and do is also think about always the second system effect. What are we missing that we take for granted? Because with every gift comes a curse. And the other side of it is, those institutions, while they still are definitely flawed, they're a lot easier to hold accountable because you can find them. Do you know what I'm saying? So when the BBC says something that's wrong or that people don't like, they can find the BBC. They can like go after the BBC in a very definite way. When Netflix has a show that people are not angry about, or you know what I mean? Like Diddy suing Netflix, where he's like, I'm going to sue you for the documentary. But he can sue Netflix. But if that thing was put out on YouTube, it becomes a little more opaque. It becomes a little less tangible. It becomes, and so it's like, that's why I say I'm torn, because it's this world where it's like, you want people to have as much freedom as possible to put out what they like, but we also don't want to live in a world where the ultimate harms can be done because nobody can be held accountable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure you think about that as well.
And it's made even more complicated by the second trend, which is that people like all of us who might have been employees at large companies then go independent. And so the trend, I mean, I'm thinking of the trend particularly in journalism of people going independent. But it's true in many other places too. It's obviously true in comedy. It's true in lots of different industries. And so that I would say I'm a part and Huge is a part and you're a part of this second trend of independence that is created by the first trend of the success of YouTube. And then the third trend is maybe it's a part of a story about pessimism itself. It's part of a story about the feeling that people have about news and the world getting worse, and the feeling that news has contributed to our understanding of the world getting worse. And
definitely.
Huge is something different. And so those, I think, are the three like stories in the world that we are somehow in the middle of the Venn diagram on. And it's an interesting place to be because, to your point, there are all kinds of parts of those stories. They're the shadow sides of each of those things. There's the extreme upside of like, what if these trends continue? And, you know, I mean, we're already at a place, it's so interesting to look at the difference between when I launched just 3 years ago and where we are now. I mean, the story when I launched was like, new media is coming. This is something that is coming. Like, we're long since here. Like, that story makes no sense anymore. Like, we are already running shows that are larger than any other media company on the largest streaming platform in the world. And so that's really important and interesting. And to your point about accountability, like how do people that are now independently running these shows that are bigger than the media operations on the biggest platform in the world, how do they take responsibility, as you said, for the things that they publish? And so it's a really exciting time. I'm in true to form, very optimistic about where this is all going. But I think it's interesting and complicated and thrilling. And I remember I've been wanting to ask you this question because I remember when I left Vox and I got a lot of congratulations, but a lot of it was with this tone of like, oh, I would never do that. Or like, oh, the phrase a lot of the time was, that's so brave.
Oh, I love that phrase.
Yeah.
So brave.
And I got a DM on Twitter from you. And you said, congratulations. Like, best of luck. And this was when you were on The Daily Show.
Yeah.
And I had been watching your stuff for a long time. And I had no idea that you were watching Vox and you were watching mine. And so I'd announced that I was going independent and you said, best of luck. And I've said this to you before, but like, it was a real moment for me to say like, oh, like I knew I was already making the bet, but it was incredibly helpful to hear from someone who had a show that was, let's be honest, like the definition of mainstream success. Say like, best of luck, basically like, I think this is a good choice for you. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. But for me, it's an obvious one. And Eugene and I have been on this journey for 20 years now. I think it's two things. One, I love appreciating the people who've made an impact in my life, even from afar. Do you know what I mean? So in my whole journey, whether it was on the Daily Show or not, I remember like in my whole life, every comedian who like put me on some stage or introduced me to another comedian or promoter in another country. I remember journalists who wrote great pieces who helped me understand the world that I was trying to understand. Authors who've literally changed my life. I try and have them on this podcast now. And some of them will say to me, they'll be like, I wrote that book 10 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still with me now. You know, they're like, why did you call me now? There's literally some people who come to the show and go, I haven't done anything in 10 years. And I'm like, yeah, but it stayed with me for 10 years. That's the first part. The second part is exactly what you said is the unsafe bets and I think there's a misalignment oftentimes in how we act in society versus what we say. We will say we want to explore. We will say we want people to go out and try things. We will say we want... What we often want is the reward from these things. We want huge, if true. We want the show now that it's working. But we don't really want people to go out and like try it in that way. And I don't know what it does to people, but you and I have spoken a lot about it. It makes people uncomfortable when people, as Eugene says, go rogue. It's interesting how it makes people around you uncomfortable. The amount of people who said that to me, and by the way, this has been the story of my life. When I first started doing stand-up comedy, I had been lucky enough to get a job on a radio station at 3 a.m. on the weekends in Johannesburg, in Gauteng only, right? So it's one state, one province. Regional. And that's where I was. No one listened. I knew all my listeners by name, tiny little thing, but it paid my bills. I started comedy while doing that. Comedy grew, and I was lucky enough that comedy, it just got to the point where I had to choose which one I was going to do. I chose comedy. Everyone said, what are you doing? You have a great what are you doing?
You're a step away from being at breakfast.
And the thing it made
You're
me...
one slot away.
What it made me realize, even at that time, was not only did they not see the possibility that I was aiming for, it made them uncomfortable. Because if you're living on an island, someone gets on a boat and says, I'm sailing somewhere else that we cannot see, you'll be shocked at how it makes the people on that island angry and uncomfortable. Because they're like, are you saying this isn't it? People start to internalize things. They go, are you saying I'm boring for staying on this island? Or are you saying there's a better island out there? Are you saying this island might not exist in a few years?
Highlights their insecurities.
And all of a sudden people get angry at you. How could you? Why would you leave? What are you doing? Fox, are you kidding? And so whenever I see people who do that, you know what I mean? For some reason, it sparks something in me. We only want to leave when everything's fallen apart. We only want to explore when we're forced to go. And I often think to myself, wouldn't it be beautiful if you could find those opportunities and those moments to do it in like a good, leave with energy, you know? Don't escape, embark. There's a different feeling in both of them. And so for me, it was one of those things where I was like, what you're doing was crazy. It was genuinely crazy. And I was so impressed by it. I was like, I mean, I've loved the stuff you've made. Good luck. You're going to kill it out there. You've got the talent. Those types of people, you're one of them as well. Those types of people who inspire me because I go like, what are you doing? Oh boy. All right. Well, that's a crazy thought. Like with Eugene, it was like the opposite. Eugene like just took a break at some point. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's just like, yeah, I'm taking a break. It's like, whew. You're taking a break? He's like, yeah, I'm just going to pause for a while. And I remember it's the craziest thing. I was so inspired by the fact that this human being showed me that there was the option to take a break, even though you don't know what's on the other side of that break. So in all of these, I'm just like, yeah, man. And by the way, I didn't think you were making the right choice. I just thought you were making a good choice.
Good choice, yeah.
Oh, interesting. Because the question I wanted to ask you, if I'm honest about that message, what you said was, I've been wondering when you're going to do that. And I thought to myself two things.
Sounds like him.
I thought to myself two things. The first was, you know who I am? When did you start wondering this? And the second thing I thought was, how did you know that that was even an option? Like, because for me, going independent on YouTube, there was at least one person, Johnny Harris and Iz Harris, who were building a journalistic independent media group he had left Vox. And so there was at least one example that I could see of someone doing this well. But until I actually began thinking about doing it, it didn't feel like one of the options that was available to me. And I thought it was going to be the start of what has now become true, which is this wave of sort of people going independent, both in journalism and in comedy and in all walks of life. But at the time, like, how did you know that that was an option? Because my perception is I should have been more likely to know that that was true than you, who were at the kind of the pinnacle of mainstream media success.
So I didn't know that it was an option, but I think I sometimes have, I don't know if it's just an innate ability, but I can oftentimes spot somebody who is an outlier in the environment that they're in. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they don't gel with their environment. I just go like, yeah, you're going to leave. And not leave in a bad way. You're going to leave. Does that make sense? Because there's something about you that tells me you are going to do something that goes beyond this. So on your side, I mean, now I'd have to be like trying to go back and remember what it was. But maybe just having this conversation with you, I was probably thinking at the time, you're creating these explainers. You're making this world really interesting, entertaining, positive, despite what the content is. It was all about like Congress and the Senate, and this is not a positive world, and it's not necessarily an interesting world.
Exciting.
But it is definitely a limited world. You know what I mean? And so maybe I saw in you something that maybe I hope to see in myself, which was, oh, I'm not only this thing. Yeah, I love politics, but I'm not only that. You know what I mean? I've literally met people who think that's all I am all the time. I'll never forget in Miami at like midnight, some random guy came up to me in the street and he was just like, Donald Trump, 2024, yeah! And I was like, and he was like, yeah. I was like, and I genuinely looked at him. I was like, what do you think's gonna happen? Did you think you're gonna stay there? And I'll be like, no, Nelson Mandela. Like, what did you think? I was like, oh, it's because your experience of me is one-dimensional. So you think that my world is contained in that one dimension. I oftentimes will latch onto people who don't operate in that one dimension because they inspire me. So this guy here is like, comedy is one of his dimensions. And then, I mean, history, nature documentaries, guns, motorbikes, aliens, but I mean, it's infinite, aliens. Really. It really is infinite with you. And I think when you see that and you see somebody, especially somebody who's creating, you'll see that they're forced to create in one sphere. Like we had Derek Forger on the podcast, and he's a friend of mine who's an artist, phenomenal artist. But everyone knows him for like his paintings. And then he started making sculptures. And I remember asking him one day, I was like, hey, why the sculptures? And he was like, well, because I want to make sculptures as well. And I remember going, oh yeah. Just because you're famous for this thing doesn't mean you should limit yourself. Just because you're successful in this thing doesn't mean you should limit yourself. And then he started making a whole interactive show. I'll tell this to anyone who can. If you ever see a Derek Forger show come up, they're always free. They're at an art gallery, but they're always free. Go. It is one of the most amazing experiences you'll ever have because he makes the life live. Like you're no longer just looking at a painting. You're transported to a time. Music, videos, paintings, sculptures, installations that you have to walk through. And I always tell him, I go like, oh, you remind me, to use your analogy, that being a human being, no matter who you are, you have your antenna up there. Certain things will make them vibrate more than others. You'll catch more frequencies than others. But it doesn't mean that you should only vibrate at the strongest frequencies. Explore the other ones. Do you know what I mean?
The faint signal.
Yeah, there's faint signal that's also wonderful to have. And so, I don't know, I think it was something like that with you, where I was just like, when I'd see you there, I'd go, well, this can't be the only thing that you find interesting. So it's only a matter of time before I assume you're just going to go and make your own thing somehow, somewhere. So when it happened, I wasn't particularly shocked. I was like, oh yeah, all right. I was waiting to see when this would happen.
I think sometimes when you revisit the past, you get to see what the present and the future will definitely look like. What you guys are explaining now and from hearing this is no different from how ancient civilizations always rewarded and found a way to crowdfund, well, they called it something else back then, to crowdfund philosophers. And those philosophers should have apprentices. And those apprentices will one day become the philosophers of their time. And the written word was the only way that those philosophers was their YouTube.
Interesting.
So those people were paid to think of ideas, to envision how politics should be and how art and culture. And if you had a great idea, if you could think, if you could paint, if you could sculpt, pay this person to just do that thing. And that's how civilizations are born. And I think we might just not see this now, but 200 years from now, if someone looks at this portal that was open, which is YouTube, which is equivalent to 1,000 years ago to written and spoken word, scrolls,
it's like
rock
the
paintings,
press.
it's the same thing. This footprint, these ideas, they will never be new again. Everything that you're speaking about now might be obvious in 100 years, but will never be new again. And I guess that's the whole thing. That's the whole synergy. And that's what you've been good at spotting. You know, you've spoken a lot of people off their cliffs and giving them their careers without even knowing, is the ability to see another philosopher and go, if you explore this idea further, you might hit the jackpot of your own independence, of your own freedom, and of your own autonomy, because that's the ultimate reward. And I think that's why super thoughtful people who are philosophers, financial reward is never their aim. It's autonomy. It's them feeling like I can do what I want when I want.
Yeah.
And once you've reached that, that's the pinnacle. And I think YouTube
everyone
is exactly that, right?
I think everyone benefits. That's the most important thing as well.
Yeah.
Is the understanding that everyone can benefit from it. That's what I also find selfishly. I'm going as a fan of yours. Well, I hope I see more. Same with your comedy. You remember, even from back in the day, I was like, when, Eugene?
Yeah.
I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going, this benefits me, so I'm assuming it benefits others.
Basically what you're saying is Michelangelo didn't spend years upside down painting the ceiling of the of the basilica for him to look at it. He did it for other people.
That's beautiful.
That is.
And so what's it been like? What is, if the lesson is an ability to more fully experiment with or express who you are, what's it been like for you? What do you feel like you're able to express now? What are you trying to experiment with?
That's an interesting question. Damn. Okay, so here's the analogy I would use. I think a lot of life is us trying to climb a mountain. And a lot of the times, that mountain is often introduced to us by others. They tell us, hey, that mountain over there, man, if you can climb that mountain, whew, you've done it. And so then we grow up our whole lives going, okay, mountain, all right, mountain, one day. And then at some point you start climbing the mountain, and while you're climbing the mountain, you might meet some people along the way who've either come down or have settled at certain parts of it, and they'll be like, oh yeah, the mountain, welcome to the mountain. Yeah, the mountain, yeah, my mountain, yeah, my mountain, we go to the top, we'll see at the mountain. And you're climbing it. And if you ask yourself the question, why am I climbing it? It could be because I've always wanted to climb. I've always, It's only when you get to what you have to define as your peak that you stop and go, oh, this is lovely. This was hard. But what mountains do I want to climb? Do I want to go walk in valleys? Mm-hmm. Do I want to stroll along rivers? Do I want to? Oh, I've now climbed what mountains people hoped I would climb. Mm-hmm. So now what would I like to do? Mm-hmm. And in that exploration, it's terrifying because, first of all, success or failure becomes like everyone has the, when are you going to get back to mountain? And you're like, no.
Yeah.
Like one of the number one things people ask me in general is like, so what's next? That's why I named the podcast as like, what now? So what now?
Yeah.
What now? And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, so what? Whatever. I'm like, I'm gonna live life. And they go, yeah, but I mean, beyond that. I'm like, what is beyond living life? And now I get to enjoy all of that more. I wouldn't have had the time before to sit down with you like this and to sit down with one of my best friends and explore and learn and have a deeper understanding of how you create and, you know what I mean? Get into the mind of somebody who's going to be shaping generations to come because of her work. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have the time. And so everything in life I find now is there's a beautiful book that I read. We should have the author on if he'll join us. It was a book called 4,000 Weeks. And it's a book that just breaks down that the average human has about 4,000 weeks on this planet. How do you want to spend those weeks? And when you understand the limited nature of those weeks, you also understand that you're always going to be missing something because you're doing something else. And so instead of having FOMO, rather enjoy this thing that you're actually experiencing. So when you're at this party, don't think about the party you're missing, or when you're at home, don't think about the party you're missing. Be like, can't believe I'm in my bed right now. What a joy. And there I genuinely have found some of the most fun and the most joy and the most and so when people ask me these questions, sometimes people be like, wow, but I mean, what do you, and I'm like, well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, maybe nothing. I see them get uncomfortable on my behalf. And I'm like, no.
Maybe this is because I'm trying to climb my mountain now. But do you ever think about the fact that this mountain might be bigger?
It's always going to be bigger.
But like what you are doing right now is part of, like we talked about, this wave, that there is a very real future.
So now, yes.
Where in literal terms, in the success terms that people used to talk to you about.
That's so funny.
This actually could be the bet
You're
that
good.
is the biggest thing you ever make. That is, that is like, and that's kind of hard to keep together, right? Because what you're expressing is a very healthy psychology of like, I'm doing this because I want to do this.
Yes.
But at the same time, there is a reality here where you're experiencing this wave of independent owned media and you own it and you're making something that, I don't know what the Daily Show viewership was. I don't know what your viewership is right now, but like in a very real way, this could be or become the biggest thing you ever make because you're all of a sudden part of this new mountain.
It's
hard to hold those things at the same time.
I think that's exactly what it is, hold them both at the same time. I'll tell you why. When Eugene and I started doing comedy in South Africa, at the time, comedy was how many years old?
Sure, less than...
Like stand-up comedy. And I mean this because...
Less than 10.
Yeah, because remember, we didn't have free speech in South Africa because of apartheid, right? So it's not... That's what I mean by stand-up comedy, widespread people doing. It wasn't really a thing.
Less than 10.
You have the first wave of comedians who jumps out and they start doing the comedy, right? We were like the second wave, I would argue.
Yeah.
But it was a relatively young scene. There were no comedy clubs. This was not a structure or a thing. I remember once my mom saying to me, what do you do? Like, where are you going? And I said, I do stand-up comedy. And my mom said to me, Trevor, this lifestyle of selling drugs is going to catch up with you. And I said, what? And she said, Mtanam, this lifestyle of selling drugs is going to catch up with you.
She was so gentle with it.
And I said, Mom, I don't sell drugs. I do comedy. And she says, Putti, she said that save your lives for others. This lifestyle will not end well. And I was like, Mom, and she said, even ask yourself, where do you say your money comes from? And I said, I go and I tell jokes. And she's like, my child. And then she just walked into the house calm. But she was like, that's how, I don't know what it was like for you when you
Very
first
gentle.
told someone what you do.
There were cops in my bedroom. Then my mom was like, I told him. This lifestyle won't end well.
But you know what I mean? That's how random it was, right? So, but there's this spark, and this is what I always encourage people to do. This is I go, remember that you need to do things to survive, and you also need to do things to thrive. We oftentimes forget the latter. Survival is important. I'll never tell anybody, I don't like it when people go like, chase your dreams, throw everything else. No. Hey, survive. Survive, work, survive. Come on, get that thing going. But also don't forget to find ways to thrive. I'm always searching for ways to thrive. So comedy was that. When we did it, genuinely, there was no money in it. There was no industry in it. There was no
one cared.
This was the thing we did. We met each other it's like a local bowling alley and telling jokes type thing. That's the vibe. Then at some point it seemed obvious, right? When I was going to do the Daily Show, it wasn't obvious at all. In fact, it was a failure for, I would say, like the first year and a half at least. It was an utter failure.
In fact, you didn't come here to do the Daily Show.
Yeah, I didn't.
Which is what people get wrong sometimes.
I didn't. No, I was here doing stand-up comedy, and then I was home, and then the Daily Show, Jon Stewart phoned me and was like, please come do one episode. We did one, and then he tricked me and trapped me, and I still hold it against him, and I also am grateful to him forever for it. But like, that thing, I hope I never lose it, and I hope everyone has the opportunity to experience it, because what happens is you bump into the things, right? So Joe Rogan, for instance, is one of the people I speak about this. It seems obvious that UFC is the biggest, fighting platform now, and it's worth all this money. But when Joe Rogan was starting in UFC, it was this fringe. Yeah. They used to call it cage fighting. Cage fighters. And Joe Rogan loved it, and people did it, and then they were like, "Do you want to comment?" He's like, I think he was the one who was like, "Can I come and commentate on this thing?" People were like, "You know about it?" Now it seems obvious.
Now.
it was his passion, it was his joy. He did that thing, and now it seems obvious. And so I think sometimes we make the mistake of only thinking about where we'll go because it might become something, and not just because we want to do. The Wright brothers did not think, I would say, I don't know, you've probably read more on it. I don't think they thought about airline industries.
Yeah.
The Wright brothers were probably just like, man,
Proving their girlfriends
wouldn't it be
wrong.
cool to fly? Wouldn't it be cool to fly?
They just wanted to prove their girlfriends wrong.
You're never gonna fly, Mark.
The next thing,
Or
air crash
maybe they
investigations.
said-
Oh, damn.
Maybe they were the version of the teacher that said, imagine you could fly.
Exactly.
And they said, oh,
Yeah.
what
And
an
a few months
interesting
before
idea.
that, they read an article that said,
That said you
this
can't
thing will
ever
never
do it.
happen.
This thing will never. Yeah. So I think that's all it is. You know. Yeah,
the one.
and that's why you're here. So thank you for this, by the way. Thank you for the conversation.
Thank you so much.
Most importantly, thank you for putting you out there, because we've all benefited from it.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see what you do now. I mean, I'm in curling in a way that I didn't need to be.
In February, I'll have a video for you.
I was already going to watch for the jokes, but now I'm there for the science as well. She did it again, folks. Cleo's done it again. This was fun. Thank you.
This is awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, folks.
Cheers.
Cleo. You were worth
Thank you
the
very much,
hype.
for real. Thank you so much.
Likewise.
You were worth the hype. You were like, you delivered and surpassed.
Thank you so much for watching the episode. If you enjoyed it, pass it on to a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, pass it on to your friend still. Let them suffer for a change. And don't forget to engage with us in the comments. If you want to suggest a guest, maybe there's questions you want, maybe there's ideas that you have, you can chat to us. We will read through the comments and we'll get into it. Either way, I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for hanging out with us on What Now? And remember, we do this for you, so we would like to hear from you. Till next time, thank you.